All right, I believe we are live, my friends. Hey, everybody, Josh Searson of World Alternative Media here, and I am joined by Tim Picciott, and this is the fourth night that World Alternative Media is covering the craziness of the protests and the riots live on YouTube for all of you guys to check out. So make sure to share this video around, hit that like button. We are going straight to the matter here. Things are really heating up in Seattle, Washington. Obviously, these are protests regarding the death of George Floyd, who was murdered, obviously, by Officer Derek Chauvin. But this has exploded. This has snowballed into something much bigger at this point. And it needs to be understood that what we're dealing with is a mixture of peaceful protests, which is most of it, agent provocateurs, idiots, people who are trying to get freedom or standing up for freedom, people who are standing up for bad ideas, good ideas. It's a mixture. It's not black and white. We are dealing with a snowballing issue here that is kind of blown out of any kind of proportion that we originally thought it would be. It's basically, it's like going from the coronavirus where everyone's pissed off, forced into their homes and not able to do anything. And it bounces right into this massive uprising around the United States. And again, it's a mixture of people with good ideas and bad ideas, and a mixture of government and people making this into a racial issue when this is a government issue. Obviously, there's a huge issue with police brutality, and we see something on the top left there. It looks like it's getting intense. Oh man. We're looking at all these live streams all around the United States right now, and we're doing our best to bring you all of what we need to bring you here. It looks like the Alamo. There's protests at the Alamo right now. It looks intense.
I'm still waiting for them to bring back Dirt McGirt.
If you joined us last night, it was at the end of the night that everything kind of exploded, and we ended up seeing in Providence, Rhode Island, they blew up a police car and then started places on fire with an old woman on the third story of an apartment building above. It was really messed up. Man. But if you're just joining us, we're bouncing all over the United States tonight, once again, for the fourth night in a row of these protests and riots and trying to make sense out of this. So make sure to hit that like button and share on social media. You are how we are able to actually reach people.
And I wish I did.
One thing I didn't even think about is, as they're launching all this tear gas and it's making people cough. I mean, they're literally, spreading the supposed coronavirus that's supposedly going around, causing people to cough. So, but that's all gone now. There's another cause du jour.
Oh man. Well, and it looks like the crowds are really gathering in Washington, D.C. Our friend Ford Fisher is there as well. And we will go to his feed shortly. But for now, we're sticking to this multi-feed here where we have countless people coming out in huge numbers in Seattle, Washington. And it looks like some chaos happening around the Alamo. Now, again, it's one thing to go after the police stations. It's another thing to go after small businesses. And I mean, and turning this into a racial issue also is not a smart move, because this is exactly what they want. They want to drive us against each other, so we're distracted from the real enemy and we end up attacking each other. This is not the way we need to go. However, it is good to see people actually, instead of just sitting there and talking, rising up and doing something. But how they do it, it makes all the difference. And I'm a believer in evolution rather than revolution. I believe evolution via technology and via good ideas is better than anything. But also, I think the revolt to a good degree is better than voting in your new master to replace the old one and hoping that things change, because that's been going on since ancient Greece, my friends. Never works. If you're just joining us, hit that like button. Let's see. We got Colden says, I said go burn down the IRS, Federal Reserve, or banks if you really want to fight oppression. Yeah, well, see, this is the thing. The racial issue and the class issue come from the government and the banks in the first place. I mean, who brought crack into black neighborhoods and destroyed black families and caused economic crises for black families?
George H.W. Bush.
The banking system. Yeah, well, and I interviewed Freeway Rick Ross a couple months ago in Acapulco, Mexico, who of course made hundreds of millions of dollars running crack cocaine for the CIA into black neighborhoods in Los Angeles. People, if you understood where this comes from, and I'm sure most of the people watching do, this comes from government. Government. Is that Ford Fisher's feed?
Yes, it is.
All right. So we see people rising up in Washington, D.C. here.
It also looks like it's starting to get intense in Seattle, too.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Attack innocent people?
Yes.
What are you going to do? Attack unarmed innocent people?
Oh, shit. They found out a game plan.
He's like, oh, what are they going to do?
Who leaked it?
Attack unarmed individuals? Well, yeah. That's why you're unarmed. But yeah, want to bounce back to the multi-feed for now? We'll go to Ford Fisher later because things will heat up in Washington, D.C. But for now, I want to see what's going on with Seattle and all these places. It seems like something big's about to happen. They're pushing the fences. You could see the fences slowly getting pushed forward there in Jessica Frost's Facebook feed. By the way, I tried to find the link to that original video, and it's portrait mode sideways. So it's good that this.
We've got this one going. This is the other view from Seattle.
How do you know?
Yeah, so that's at the fences.
Yeah. So
I've never seen them do that to anybody before.
we do have options here. So.
Yeah, we're bouncing all over the United States tonight.
And if you guys have other good feeds that we're not tuned into, I mean, let us know. We don't know everything. So
yeah, we're trying. YouTube and Facebook make it very difficult to find new feeds that aren't mainstream media, but it's important to focus on the independent feeds. Yeah, I know, shocking, amazing, isn't it? Let's see. We got a few people commenting here. Joseph says, you guys been doing a great job past few nights. I really appreciate it. Jason Strope says, hey, Josh. Hey, Jason. Good to see you. Hit that like button and share because YouTube notifies very few people. If you're watching, you're some of the 2% of people that they actually notify, of people who click to be notified. So make sure to share and hit the notification bell if you haven't already, because you might be one of the 2% that get notified next time. You see multiple feeds here. And Seattle and Washington seem to be some of the major places to watch tonight.
But I'll keep going.
Mark Colson says, you are amazing, Josh. Please keep going. I appreciate it.
Peaceful.
I appreciate everyone tuning in. Now, give us any suggestions. Write in the chat what do you want to see. We're doing our best. Tommy MS says, hit like. Appreciate it. Yeah, hit that like button. He did get notified. That's good to hear. So, and like I said, almost all the people who get notified are being notified are the people that come in at the very beginning of the stream when it first goes on. After that, no one gets notified. So the stream just dies off. That's what happens. You can type in our entire title of our video on YouTube and you probably won't find this video in the search. Ford Fisher, you see at the bottom middle. Oh, no, now bottom right. They're moving him around there. And of course, Ford Fisher, a good friend of mine, is in Washington, D.C. He just started Zenger News. So if you look up Zenger on YouTube, you can subscribe to them. He is not live on there right now, though. He's live on Periscope. And we're not quite sure what's going to happen. Anything could happen. What happened last night was insane. I mean, of all places, it was Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, and Providence, Rhode Island that kind of just exploded the last second, and it kept us up very late. Our stream last night ended up at about 5 hours. I don't think we're going to be doing that tonight, but Bearded Heretic says this is Woke Stream. Yeah, this is Woke Stream, but we also have several windows open with other streams going. But right now, it's good to watch Woke Stream and have some commentary and take questions from the audience and all sorts of stuff. I'm trying to go over as many different streams as I can right now. Jay Kaiser says lots of Pantifa in Rhode Island. Pantifa? The P? Wearing panties for masks. I have seen a few people do that, actually, by the way, with the Rona crap. Let's see.
I'm trying to text some people too who might be at different things.
Yeah, I do have some friends that have been messaging me about different streams to check out. So I'm going to bounce to some of them shortly. Let's see. Someone by the name of Joshua Rivera told me earlier that he might be streaming live in Las Vegas tonight. I'm going to be checking that out. Last night, a police officer got shot in the head in Las Vegas, right after he went off live here on YouTube. Things are really heating up. People are sick. I mean, they were forced into their home like kennels for months. What do you expect is going to happen? I mean, no one has jobs. Everyone's impoverished. And then all you need to do is just push over that domino, my friends. And this is what we end up seeing. I mean, I don't endorse burning down any small businesses. I don't endorse violence. I mean, what annoys me the most is that they're burning down small businesses in Washington, D.C. when the IRS is right there, my friends. Just saying. I do have a video going up tomorrow that I hope people tune into. I put one up today as well that breaks down a lot of the psyop that we're seeing as well, mixed in with the totally legitimate protests. I'm posting another video tomorrow that exposes some really sketchy information that I hope you guys tune in for. Check into WAM as much as you can because you probably won't be notified.
Blacks are tired. Mexicans are tired. Asians are tired. Everybody is fucking. Hey, and I'll even say to the poor whites, I know y'all tired too because it's the government doing it. It's rich folks.
Yes, it's the government. Yes.
And the rich folks, the rich white folks are getting so greedy that they even starting to take it out on their own people. On their own people. This is what's so crazy. So anybody
fair
with us today, step with us.
Bill Gates is 0.0001%.
All over Facebook. For the rest of our life. My name is Jason Fisher. I go by AKA Black J, the motherfucking shit.
Why do so many people on the left hate rich people but love Bill Gates?
And I want y'all to understand, they call me a chief for a reason, because I've been in this neighborhood fucking trying to do shit like this for the longest. I've been a soldier in these streets.
I don't know. This is Fayetteville Square.
The police fuck with black folks here, and I had a chance to do something. I got in front.
So I don't know exactly where. As anyone knows where Fayetteville Square is?
With my hands up, of course.
Arkansas.
But I wasn't finna let them keep pushing and beating on anybody I know here. No matter what color they are.
No matter. The hidden hand movement sounds like very like Illuminati, but
yeah. Well, that's a multi-screen there.
Look at the fuck what.
I don't know what happened.
Hollywood, California. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let me send you a link there, Tim, because Josh Friedman is on the ground in Hollywood right now. He got beaten up in the streets.
Did someone put it on YouTube?
Oh, he's not streaming anymore. He ended his stream 14 minutes ago. Man. Hit that like button if you're just tuning in and share on social media to get around the shadow banning, my friends. We're bouncing all over the country for the fourth night in a row, covering these protests and riots and trying to make sense of this. And how about George Soros' home, says Diedrich Axlan. So there's snipers on the roof in Seattle. They're anticipating something big. Earlier on, they were chanting, "Get off the roof, get off the roof." In a crowd in Seattle. I don't know what they expect us to see from that high up in Hollywood on the top left. It's like, oh yeah, there's Jim. Fuck your curfew. People, you could hear people yelling, okay. Fuck your curfew. I like to hear that. I don't have as much of one right now because I've been stuck working inside every day, but out of disobedience for the last couple of months, I've been purposely trying to get a tan here in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, due to the lockdown. It's almost like it's something I need to do just for everyone else.
I'll be able to stand up and see the crowd a little bit better with the barricade.
You can see police, and then you could see the military behind the police in Seattle. Or is that, I think the National Guard.
The other stream I was watching, Seattle was yeah, I guess it's the same. weird. There are different angles of Seattle. Both Seattle ones went down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like did they do some sort of like cell phone jamming? There are two completely different streams, and they both.
There's been a lot of cell phone jamming lately.
Oh, they would never do that.
We have Ford Fisher there.
My cross street right here, where the protest is happening, is 11th and Pine, right off of Cal Anderson Park.
Ford Fisher has got it right. He's got the goggles on because seriously, guys, they'll shoot your eye out. Like they have no problem shooting your eye out as a reporter. Especially if you're yeah. So Tim, what do you make of what we're witnessing around the world, this uprising? Certainly it relates to the economic crisis we're dealing with.
Yeah, I mean, basically everything boils down to economics. I mean, rich people
turn down the volume just a little bit so we could hear you better.
Yeah, I mean, basically everything boils down to economics because, rich people aren't out there looting. But when you have a Federal Reserve that is siphoning the wealth of the whole entire world, really, not just the country, and, even the guy that's worth $10 million, you're getting, your wealth is being sucked away. And so you've got guys like Bill Gates at the top and other people at the top who want to call to raise, our taxes because they've already done all different loopholes. They are in the various structures where they're exempt from taxes, and then your taxes literally go to bail them out. I mean, Warren Buffett was the largest recipient of the bailout funds, but they're using all this consciousness and all this, Google and other companies are able to basically hijack into what everyone is thinking and then steer movements in their direction to then essentially hijack it. And that's really the power of these big tech companies. But yeah, it all comes back to economics. And unfortunately, we've all been played off against each other and it's made, black versus white. But, really.
But the issue goes down to government and central banking and all that kind of stuff. And people just totally buy into the media narratives, whether it's CNN or Fox News, left or right, that it's a racial issue. And those racial issues are so deeply rooted in the economic issues that we're facing. I mean, it's so closely related considering the last century of enslavement that we've witnessed at the hands of not just the military industrial complex, not just the government or the police state, but the banking system, the central banking system. I mean, talk about inflation. Nobody at these, well, I shouldn't say that. A large portion of people at these protests have no idea what inflation is and how it affects their life. They have no idea how currency is printed. They have no idea what it means when it's created. I mean, they have no idea who's creating it. They have no idea what fractional reserve means. A large portion, majority of the people.
We're not talking about the people watching this by and large. I mean, if you're watching, Josh, you probably are aware of this stuff. Unless you're new, which, better late than never. And
and welcome if you are. Hit that subscribe button and that like button if you're just tuning in. And,
we got a lot of people talking about, when they take the guns, that's really when they checkmate us. And so for me, I mean, the biggest issue really was, the Second Amendment, because, that's really what, not because I, some big gun guy that always likes, going around. Although now I am pretty much have a gun on me at all times now, because I mean, if I go outside,
things are crazy. Yeah,
and I'm in a place where you can do that, and so I feel very safe here, where I'm at now. But when they take the guns, that's when, I mean, there's a reason why that's what the system is trying to push so hard for, and that's the one thing they can't really do. And so, I mean, on the one hand, these leftists are going to be like, oh, we need to take the guns. On the other hand, they're like, oh, the police are beating us up and we can't even protest. Well,
and Trump is Hitler, but we should give up our guns to Hitler. Well, I actually am seeing more than ever, especially with the coronavirus stuff, Tim. I'm noticing a ton of people on the left supporting guns lately. I've never seen so many people. I've met so many people that said, I've always been anti-gun, but suddenly what we're witnessing lately, the lies we're being told, being forced into our homes, mothers getting arrested and thrown in prison in the same prisons they just emptied of murderers, thrown in prison for walking to the park with her kid. I mean, people are feeling more and more anxious than ever, and they want to defend themselves. And I'm definitely seeing a movement happen right now. I mean, gun ownership is going way up. The amount of people buying up guns is going way up. And guess what? In Canada, they just banned 1,500 different types of so-called military-grade assault rifles. And by military grade, they're talking about like AR-15s and including some 22 rifles and stuff. And it's like, it makes no sense.
So I've got a Facebook post for somebody who, somewhat prominent, who said, fresh out of 24-hour Facebook jail sentence for posting pictures of pallets of bricks delivered in riot zones. Censorship is alive. And that person is actually Jim Cantrell, the co-founder of SpaceX, and his Colin Cantrell's father. He's put the co-founder of SpaceX put in Facebook jail for showing pallets of bricks. I mean,
yeah.
But you know, it's a good thing when you piss off people who have lots of resources and ways to be able to come back at the system. And you've got a son like Colin who can create these next level internet systems that can't be stopped. So you know, keep messing with the right people over here.
Keep an eye, my friends, tomorrow on World Alternative Media, because I got a video exposing that brick stuff, and I want. They are definitely trying to cause riots. They are definitely, because the police get bigger budgets, the police get more surveillance tools, the police have more quote unquote justification to go after people, attack people, beat people, more abilities to do things without warrants, especially utilizing the new watch list that just made everyone suspected quote unquote terrorists. Guys, this is much bigger than people realize. And it's not just a police department. It spreads to the FBI. It spreads to the CIA. Things are getting crazy. What's happening in Denver, Colorado? There's a lot of people just scattered there. Do you want to turn up the volume a little bit? I know we're hearing Seattle, Washington on this multi-feed, but
as I was saying, on Saturday's protest, they initiated a curfew for 5 o'clock, and they put that out at 5:10. It was 5:10 when the people who were on the streets protesting started the curfew, and at that point, the cops started aggressively coming after us.
Another example. It's 5:10 p.m. and they give you a 5 p.m. curfew after 10 minutes has gone by.
One of the NGOs walking around the second line giving an order. Trying to use the spreadsheet. Information from that guy too. So much for
cut out there.
The difference I see today is that the cops are standing
and anything that you
way behind the barricade, whereas yesterday they were right up against it.
So if you don't mind turning it down a little bit.
Keep that up. I want.
And is that the National Guard that's behind the police in Seattle, lower left?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean,
that's
they're dressed
National Guard, and then you have one
military.
Cop behind them. That's like what, the lead boss. You have to defeat him to finish the game. Donut man.
You got to steal all his donuts.
Like how we're thinking the same thing. Yeah, but I mean, what they just said there was they had declared curfew at 5 o'clock p.m., but they did it at 5:10 p.m. And then they suddenly have justification to go in and use force against everyone. Guys, even if you're against the protests completely, is that not an obvious sign of abuse of power? Like, by far, seriously. We have 394 people tuning in. Make sure to hit that like button and share on social media to help us get around the shadow banning. If you're just tuning in for the first time to World Alternative Media, hit that subscribe button. We're bouncing all over the United States tonight and focusing on a whole bunch of feeds and trying to figure out what is going on in the United States right now.
And just anecdotally, I was talking to my grandparents today, and a bunch of cops live in their neighborhood, and I guess it was like, and it's more like rural part of upstate New York, and really kind of out there. And I guess there was like all these threats placed on their specific neighborhood, so they had to get out of there, stay at one of my aunt and uncle's houses, and then there was police like barricaded in front of, like, blocking off the neighborhood. But yeah, it's sort of
oh man, it's getting so totalitarian. We're seeing police walking down the streets of suburbs right now and shooting people with rubber bullets and paintball guns for standing on their porch. I mean, seriously, it's something out of a movie at this point. I thought the original video that came out was fake until I watched it a few times. I sourced it and I'm like, this is a real video. They're shooting people on their porches. It's really messed up. And in some cases, they're going right into people's homes, warrantless arrests. I mean, guys, the cop in Seattle who was kneeling on 12 men's necks of protesters in one night. Like that guy's just a douchebag. He does not care. If you want to turn up the volume a little bit on there.
Yeah.
Like things are happening in Sacramento, California.
I just want to say to the comments who are keeping me updated on all of the points of views, thank you so much. I'm sending so much to my friend on the street, and you guys are helping me get information to them and information out there.
Sorry, guys. Got to keep my phone connected.
That Jessica Frost person in Seattle, Washington, the actual feed is in portrait mode, and it's all turned around so that it's normal here. Don't film in portrait mode, my friends. Please, just don't film in portrait mode.
No audio. All right, we got it back up.
It's one of those things like you just don't think about if you're not like doing this sort of stuff.
I know, but just imagine how many times you've watched a video and it's just a split in the screen. Like it's annoying, you know? So I don't know. I'm just saying. If you're just tuning in, hit that like button. We have 427 people tuning in right in the chat. Macho Taco says divide and conquer is the game and government is to blame. Absolutely.
Another Ford Fisher's getting interviewed over here on this
cops at the end there, but
all right, if you want to mute this one and pull up Ford Fisher then.
Get out of stuff. They built this fence. Maybe it makes the cops feel safer, whatever it is. But
bruised from getting shot in the head.
Interfered. And the protesters haven't done anything violent. They haven't. There hasn't been vandalism really that I've seen. There certainly hasn't been any kind of fire or anything like that. So you know, a portion of this event had been a march from here.
He's interviewing himself.
Around to U Street and all the way back to here, and in that entire time, no conflict. I mean, there's people kind of making fun of cops
like 5
and stuff
seconds
like that.
After I said
but
that,
you know, cops suck it up. That's kind of all there is to it. You know, that's the First Amendment. So tonight has been peaceful.
Ford's in Washington D.C.
Basically, no violence or arrests of any kind that I'm aware of.
Want to go back to the multi-stream?
This will keep looking like this for a while, but for me.
We'll see Ford in the multi-stream right here. And we have some comments coming in. Let me see. I was going to read one just a moment ago. I got to scroll up one moment. Another view says nothing grassroots about this at all. A lot of it is grassroots. It's just what you're seeing in the media and the, you know, funded out of town protesters and the brick pallets on the side of the road. That's not grassroots, but it's not as black and white as it's good or it's bad.
So that I can get
a lot of good to it and a lot of bad to it. It depends on what you're looking at here. The brick pallets that are put on the side of roads to cause riots, bad. But 99% of the protesters, even if most of them don't know what they're talking about, are not violent. It's this group of provocateurs, many of them agent provocateurs. Let me bring you back to Toronto 2010 at the G20 conference, obviously big globalist conference, and they declared martial law in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Toronto being a city of about 8 million people. It's a lot of people there. And they drove a police car into the middle of the road ahead of the protesters, took the computers out, left the doors open. Then black bloc guys, they opened the wall of police. The black bloc guys came in, they closed it off to peaceful protesters. Those black bloc guys ran right to that car. It was all caught on camera on multiple angles. Dan Dix recorded it in his movie Into the Fire, and they jumped onto that car and lit it on fire. And there's all the images. There's the big pay raise for all the police in Toronto. This is something they've been doing forever. Montebello, I think that was in 2008. Guys, they've been doing this forever. And so we cannot allow the media on either side to, one, say these protests are illegitimate, on the other side say all the protests are legitimate. The riots are completely fabricated and pushed by the establishments involved. I mean, there are children that are getting beaten and attacked in the streets and physically harmed. Children that as young as 3 years old. And people will say, well, why would you bring your child to a protest or to a riot? Well, they're not riots, they're protests. And then the agent provocateurs create a riot. And in one case, there's just a woman walking home with her daughter, and she gets basically accosted by the police. Her house just happened to be on the way, and they had to get there. And they had to pass by a peaceful protest, and then suddenly the police are beating the mother up, sprayed mace in the child's face. I mean, it's messed up. So it's not black and white here. It's a very complicated issue, and every single city is different. And within each city, there's multiple different factions of activists. So it's
And I
not
found
black
a Twitter page right here that's got, I mean, this is like from 2 hours ago, but I mean, it's still stuff's still kicking off over here in New York City. Yeah, 2 hours ago.
Whoa!
For those of you that were with us last night. Oh
shit! Did they film this video with a potato? Maybe a cucumber? Walking. What the fuck? Oh man! All right, let's go back.
Well, there was
multi-stream.
Oh, there was another. I mean,
yeah, I know. I've seen a few of these today. There's been a lot of action in New York City today. That's why I've got some people on the ground in New York City that I hope to be checking out and going to.
Oh wait for it! Spider-Man.
You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
In New York City.
Well, let's go back to that multi-stream.
Okay. Yeah, I had to.
It looks like you got more angles in Seattle, Washington.
I may be able to get a shot of the crowd. I don't see anybody looking up here, so I'm going to do a quick one.
Hit that like button, my friends, and share on social media. Appreciate everyone tuning in. We're bouncing all over the country tonight. Someone's singing Star Wars at the Stormtroopers. Peter Birdsall says, anyone hear any BS going down in Connecticut? I'm surprised that I haven't heard more from Connecticut. I mean, that place is just prime for riots.
And that's where George Soros is staying.
Oh, you don't want to destroy your own town. I mean, I'm bouncing around looking for friends of mine who are live at protests. I know I have a few ballsy friends that aren't afraid to go to the front of the line.
You literally type in protest and the first, so I don't really use Twitter too much. You type in protest and Rachel Maddow shows up. It's the very first thing that shows up is Rachel Maddow, and it's actual CIA propaganda. So if we just the ridiculousness of this, I guess you'd have to start from the bottom over here. The scenes have been disturbingly similar to CIA analysts accustomed to monitoring scenes of societal unraveling abroad, massing protesters, ensuing crackdowns, and awkwardly staged displays of strength by a leader determined to project authority. I've seen this kind of violence, said Gail Helt, a former CIA analyst responsible for tracking developments in China and Southeast Asia. This is what autocrats do. This is what happens in countries before a collapse. It really does unnerve me, but literally, you go type in protest.
And that's the Rachel first thing you see. It really says all you really need to know.
So, I mean, here we are trying to find like actual, protesting going on, and we've come across Rachel Maddow. Go figure.
Yeah. This is the fourth night we have been live covering protests all over the United States. Obviously, there's peaceful. There's riots. Can you turn it down a little bit?
We need a quiet riot.
Yeah. Obviously, 99% is peaceful, but there's obviously a setup going on. There's obviously a psyop going on. When you see police pulling bricks out of the back of their covered truck in a back alley 1 block away from where the protest is about to show up, and they're putting bricks on the ground, and you hear this all over the United States, pallets of bricks put everywhere, and they say fake news. No, that's a fact. I have friends on the ground in a lot of these places that have been documenting this themselves and seeing bricks put everywhere, all over the ground. Stay tuned for my video tomorrow on this when I break this down and expose this. This is absolutely insane what we're witnessing. They're definitely trying to encourage riots, because if they encourage riots, the police get a bigger budget and all that. Let's see what's happening in the comments here. Make sure to share this video. We just lost like 50 viewers in 2 minutes. So let's see what's happening here. Diedrich Axland says police breaking their own cars too. Yeah, well, in that case, I think they were removing the windshield from a vehicle that was that had been mostly smashed up. I have seen the video you're talking about, but they are leaving their cars just randomly parked, unlocked with their computers out, just like I mentioned earlier, Toronto 2010 G20. Leaving it out there for protesters to get to, and then they burn their cop cars. They all get new cop cars. They get grants from the federal government. They get grants from the state government, and they get a pay raise. Peter Birdsall says, "Let's go steal all their bricks." LOL. Rika the hopeful voluntarist. Let me scroll up. I just scrolled down there. Eric Rika the hopeful voluntarist says, "Yeah, the bricks are on purpose." Absolutely.
And Eric Prince of Blackwater is trending on Twitter too right now, because people are asking if that's who's outside of.
Hey man, he could just have a positive disposition. He's like, hey man, protest happened, and he's smiling.
Smiling peace. How you gonna say peace when they're out here and they're getting ready to fuck us up? How can you say peace when they come to a peaceful riot, ready to fucking riot with sticks, guns, bombs, missiles, whatever the fuck they need?
First of all, I didn't say peace, but I like exactly, these are the questions I'm asking. Bro, let me ask you this. I'm live streaming to 3,000 people. What is it today, though? What particularly is it today?
It ain't the day, it's every day.
So what is it every day then?
Every day.
What is it every day though?
Every day. I gotta worry about being pulled over.
Okay.
Being beat.
Okay.
Every day, bro.
Okay.
What are you doing right now? Asking me.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you. You guys, you hear it right there. And you, man, you hear this varying thing here. Clearly, this brother's out here for one reason. Clearly, my good colleague right here is out here for another reason. But everybody, man, this is what I'm saying.
This is what they want. They waiting to do what they like to do.
See what this turns into tonight.
Actually, I'm on his. I go straight to his Facebook.
Oh, it's best to have the whole thing up and be able to monitor all the things that are happening. I like the multi-stream because you have so many things that you can look at.
Fuck a march. I'm standing here and I'm gonna hold down my motherfucking fort. This is my country. My ancestors built this shit.
All right. I can chime in on that one.
Me and all y'all.
One person says Antifa wants guns, bombs,
here,
hurricanes, and explosions. I don't know what the hurricane part means, but
it's a lot of different.
Yeah, I mean Antifa.
It's a
mixture of confused kids.
There's a lot of different things.
Violent provocateurs and violent government agent provocateurs.
Who've never had an issue with the police to come here. We see people who
there's
police brutality here.
Many that are just confused and don't know why they're. But I mean, look.
Over COVID, you know what I'm saying?
It's being utilized by the state to turn this into an issue of race rather than government.
Translate, if you're watching, man.
This is another view of that Seattle
you got so many people out here that been there for
America. Oh, turn it off. That's copyrighted music.
They're all soulless creatures.
Sorry. They'll take down our YouTube channel over that.
Automizing the booty hole just to be standing right here. All y'all. Y'all can't make a decision for yourself. When was the last time you ever made a decision for yourself? Oh, I just scratched my face on my own.
Yeah, the problem with YouTube, well, there's many problems with YouTube, but
we're gonna be here for 5 hours if we talk about the problems.
Of course, we're demonetized here. So if you haven't checked the links below, you can join our new newsletter at iambanned.com, linked below, as well as Float, BitChute, flote.app, the future of social media, replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one with encrypted private messaging. No algorithms, so they cannot shadow ban you. Monetization for creators on videos. Super chats on the live streams, which we're not allowed to have anymore. And there's also BitChute, of course, World Alternative Media, but we're on Float at Josh Sigurdsson, as well as at Wham, and Tim is at the Liberty Advisor on there. Advisor with an OR. And we are really trying to move off of YouTube at this point because YouTube is not friendly to anyone that wants to know the truth anymore or have any actual thought.
My friends right here who's like, I'm peaceful and stay peaceful.
But they hit you on intellectual property a lot. And if they have like a drum beat in the background from a copyrighted song, they'll take down your channel these days. And it takes like 2 weeks to get back if you dispute it, if you even can get it back. It's just, it's a nightmare. Reiki the Hopeful Volunteer says, hey, Tim.
Hey,
So we got a lot of action in Seattle starting to rile up here. I have no idea where that's going to go. Washington, D.C. has been mostly peaceful today, but a lot of people's eyes are on there. Lots of crowds coming out in Denver, Colorado, San Jose, California. Seems to be starting to heat up a bit. Again, we don't want riots, but we want to cover what we see on the ground. And if there's riots, we need to go to it and see what's actually happening, because this is a state of the mental dismay of the masses after months of being forced into their home.
And this is historical. I mean, so someday when our kids and grandkids, they have, this record to go off of and not, CNN, whatever other bullshit that, is out there.
Independent on the ground streams, not a narrative that the media decides for you. And that's really important. That's why we're doing this. And also, I mean,
and that's why when you search protests, you get Rachel Maddow quoting CIA. It's like Rachel Maddow quoting CIA agents is what you get on Twitter when you search the word protest. I mean, can you make it any more obvious at this point, Josh?
I know they're right in our faces at this point.
I mean, it's actually fun. It's actually funny that there's, people that are actually like wrapped into all of this and actually believe it. And I see people walking by me in masks and I'm just, I can't even get them
jogging in like the desert with a mask on. It's like, what are you doing?
In my walk and talk from the other day, there was this guy in the desert walking by me on this trail that like only one is the only other person I saw in 45 minutes on that trail, and he had a mask on. I mean, so like ridiculous. I mean, today was 109 degrees. I mean, here we are, Weather Alternative Media over here, but yeah, I mean, over 100 degrees and people are wearing masks. I mean,
Demons Gate says, how many joggers left? We down to 12% yet? I mean, imagine breathing in just only I thought the left hated CO2, but these people are running with CO2 and just breathing it in and dying.
I mean, I've done some like elevation mask where I deliberately was restricting oxygen when I was training for Ironman, but I don't know. I mean, I was like, all right, I don't need to be restricting oxygen and training at 100 degrees outside.
Yeah, seriously.
And there's actually some evidence suggests that training at super, super high temperatures is actually very similar to training at elevation.
And by the way, Julie Bott says in the chat, I just got home from the Sacramento, totally peaceful all day until 7:50 p.m. when they showed up. Yeah. See, that's the thing, isn't it? Well, I mean, there's going to be more action after a curfew, but Sacramento went crazy a couple days ago, especially a couple days ago. But it really stands out when you look at these events. It's peaceful, and then suddenly people, the provocateurs show up, and things get insane. This has been happening for the last week, and I think it was in Minneapolis. We saw the Umbrella Man. He starts breaking windows. His first window is broken of the event, and then suddenly it's across from the police station. The auto place goes up in flames. I think AutoZone or something. It goes up in flames. And then all the buildings around it go up in flames. The Arby's goes up in flames. The police stations go up in flames. And I don't shed a tear over I don't shed a tear over the police station. But you see this all happening, and it all started with an obvious agent provocateur who has police issued boots and a police issued mask on. I mean, guys, they're putting bricks everywhere on the like pallets of bricks around for people to throw. At what point does that not become insanely obvious? Let's put the volume up a little bit on this thing.
Community in Portland.
So we've lost about 100 viewers in the last 10 minutes because no one gets new notifications and no one can find this video on the search.
Assembling again in front of a police riot line. We have heavy police vehicles back here. A lot of really angry people trying to get past the sacred fence.
Oh man,
we're gonna have a full moon coming up pretty soon.
Police seem to be pulling it back.
Yeah. Basically, I just overheard somebody say it's on this.
Okay, so they pull back, and when people advance, off goes the tear gas.
Oh, tear gas being deployed in Portland.
Stuff back at the cops who started gassing after they pulled back. Again, throwing plastic water bottles mainly. So. Definitely getting a whiff. Oh, yeah, here you go.
Oh.
Grenades in the crowd. Grenades and gas in the crowd. They really got that grenade right in the fucking middle of everybody. So, we have another fucking cop riot, everybody. We got another cop riot.
It's interesting to note that the first people that actually shot in Minneapolis was the cops. They deployed tear gas on a peaceful protest just sitting there the day that George Floyd died. 1 week and 1 day ago.
I got a feeling this cop riot's just getting started.
Okay, here's another 5 hours again.
And again, if you're just joining us, first off, please donate to the Black Resilience Fund of Portland, the Black Resilience Fund. It started as a massive
searching for this guy's stream
people
on Periscope.
Against police brutality. Marched to Pioneer Square. They did some speeches.
Is this the guy from above?
And after that began to break apart again. Several large groups assembled around the fence that Portland police have been using.
Yeah, I'm trying to find better streams
to wall
of this
off
too.
the Justice Center and the federal courthouse from the rest of town and stop activists from marching on the Justice Center as they did Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
And we just lost another 70 viewers. However that works.
The sacred fence
dropped off like that. Just went straight
and
down.
Police got into them repeatedly and gassed all the traffic. So that is where we are. It is not too late to make it here if you want to get here. And it's certainly not too late to donate to the Black Resilience Fund. So again, if
that's not us encouraging that, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's
got plenty of money. You can't help me out, but you can help the Black Resilience Fund out.
And then it just bounced another 40.
you can help George Soros
which will be lovely.
These are definitely getting manipulated. It dropped down to 300 watching from 370, and then bounced up to 332 in another 2 seconds.
Since the police keep gassing traffic. We do seem to be seeing, again, a very large march, still thousands in the streets. And police. Yeah, and police kind of retreating, I'm sure, so that they can throw more munitions at us. Huh? Oh, yeah.
So if you go to YouTube and you just search for live videos of Portland, it literally says it has 2 things that show up on all of YouTube. Only 2 that are live. I mean, I'm definitely calling BS on that, Josh.
Yeah. I know. You cannot find live streams right now, even though like 100 people are live streaming.
Now, we don't know a lot about the religious beliefs of the Portland Police Bureau, but we know that this complicated and ancient culture holds a special reverence for a sacred and holy fence. And they respond to all of this to crops down the sacred fence with pretty extreme violence.
See, I found another view where people are starting to kneel in Portland.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know
so it's an idea of how much traffic we've got.
Tear gas was just deployed in Portland, Oregon.
With cars, you got to get some gas, too. So we got to...
Last night, a cop in Las Vegas, right after our stream finished, got shot in the head and shot dead.
The fence means a lot to everybody, but I think the crowd and the fence both disagree on how to worship it. The crowd wants the fence.
Jay Kaiser says YouTube is buffering watchers out, and then after like 30 or so seconds, feed comes back with dropped numbers.
Again, archaeologists still cannot puzzle out to this day.
Yeah, if you type in Portland Riot live, you literally get nothing on YouTube.
George Floyd.
Okay, here's
So, we got another line of police officers.
Well, I found another.
We've got an officer, Larry.
Let's check out.
Rika says it's not buffering for me. Oh, is that? Oh, that's New York City. No. That's a loop. That's a loop. It's not live. That's what we had last night.
Try to find some more.
I'm trying to find that Robert Evans guy on Periscope, but he does not come up when you search Robert Evans. So that's kind of frustrating. I did find another stream from Portland, but it's weird. So the tear gas has been deployed in Portland, Oregon. Seattle, Washington starting to get heated up.
Went up there.
Portland, Oregon's the home of Antifa, guys. So
There's a few of them. Okay.
you can expect some agent provocateurs there. You see the tear gas in the air there in Portland, Oregon, bottom left. Did it just go silent?
No, we just stopped talking.
Oh yeah, I'm press. I got my press pass on.
Called the First Amendment.
Portland Police Bureau declaring that we have us an unlawful assembly, and that will be subject to use of force. And again, the Portland Police Bureau kind of goes straight to threatening use of force. Another plastic bottle thrown. Some people calling for folks to stop throwing plastic bottles. Huh?
It's a brutalization of Portland people.
Yeah.
It's a traumatized crowd they got here. They need to de-escalate this shit. They got training.
Traumatized crowd. They need to de-escalate this shit, and they are pulling back.
Yeah, the police don't want to de-escalate anything.
Pulling back.
Maybe for their own livelihoods, but they got orders.
Cool zone's getting cooler, so the police pulled back a bit, but they are reforming riot lines. And again, telling us we'll be subject to the use of force. And I don't know that they're about to start pumping impact munitions into the crowd, but I would say there's like a
Jay Kaiser says Portland likes the air spicy. Megan F says they are exaggerating these events. Of course they are. That's why we're looking at independent feeds so we can actually see what's happening.
Yeah, telling us it's an unlawful.
No editing.
We are in the cool zone. The streets of Redding, California. So again, if you're just joining us, tonight is the first night since George Floyd's death that people
Megan F says teach your children the truth.
Protesting police brutality. In Pendleton, Oregon, 1,000 people marched yesterday, which is wild considering how conservative and small that community is. I'm hearing now that Redding is also.
You ever been to Portland?
Having a march in it. Like it's shocking how massive this has gotten, and a sign of how many Americans are furious at the degree to which the police have become militarized and increasingly violent.
But I am going to
we've seen
Boston
cop riots in Portland on Saturday and Sunday. In fairness, a normal riot on Friday. And we
maybe I'll be live in the ground from Boston for you in a couple weeks in New York.
Right. Imagine if the riots are still happening in 2 weeks. That would be messed up.
I mean, it's not really
right now.
A huge stretch
right now, we're at a
think that it could, given how crazy.
Well, if it is in 2 weeks, Tim, we're looking at something much bigger than what we saw in Ferguson.
Yeah, I mean, the stock market will be at like 50,000 by then because we'll just be at day 20 and it'll just keep going up and up and up.
But at that point, we would be seeing that would be like Civil War level.
It seems like
we see I mean, we are in a civil war. We have been in one for a while. It's just a quiet civil war, just like we've been in World War III for a very long time. Just constantly at war with countries all over the world.
I think it got declared on
opening sound settings here.
Oh, my bad.
But
police.
I don't know. I feel like things are heating up. There's something in the air. I don't know what it is. I mean, I felt similar a couple times before, but just the combination of what we're seeing with coronavirus, the lockdowns, the collapse of people's like all these jobs just wiped out, 40 million unemployed. At the same time as
Steve Mnuchin says it doesn't matter, so 40 million.
Oh, Steve Mnuchin says it doesn't matter. All right. I don't know why I've been worrying then. He says it doesn't matter. Government man says, don't worry, we got this. Okay.
So Goldman Sachs government man too. So that they can do the thing. Back a bit, but yeah, I think
I'm trying to find my TV remote so I can actually turn on YouTube my TV and monitor what's going on in our
intersections
stream.
Yeah, I'm monitoring it myself right now too.
If I step away for a second, I'm trying to find.
Oh, well, it looks like a flare that got thrown.
And I've also converted this to a standing desk.
Oh, some stuff blowing up flares.
Cops.
Fireworks at the cops.
Premature detonation.
Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, those are just a little.
This is an unlawful assembly. Like.
Here we go. Gas and traffic.
There we go.
Hi guys. How y'all doing?
I don't know. It's a riot. How are you doing?
Yeah, every night we've seen a little bit more Hong Kong tactics. I haven't seen, just because there's so few people.
Did you just say Hong Kong fascists?
Actually, douse
tactics, I think.
Two. But they're working on it. People are getting better at this stuff. We got a dude in traffic just trying to be like, all right, well. Yeah, and again, protesters trying to help the person.
Nick Agapescu, sorry, it took me a while to pronounce the name, says RoboCop gonna show up next.
Again, people trying to go the road for a car with Texas.
Seriously. The age of technocracy.
Yeah, what are you guys bets for what's going to be going down in July at this race? So what crazy, unforeseen things are going to happen next month? So
that's interesting.
Dude, I cannot predict what's happening in a week because 2020 every month is like a crazy movie. Like every month is something different. We started with Australian fires and Jeffrey Epstein, and then we went right into coronavirus and like a zombie movie starting, and then it just turned into a huge psyop, lockdown, Nazi Germany in the technocratic age.
Too many psyops going. There's like too many psyops going. Yeah, it's like my brain hurts from all the psyops going on at once.
I know. It's so much information to compile. I forget. You know, 1 year ago, doesn't 1 year ago feel like a million years ago?
Please donate to the Black Resilience Fund.
Yeah.
1 year ago, I just got back from Africa, hitchhiking the Sahara Desert.
Make me the person.
I feel like that was like something I did 10 years ago. I'm like, I'm over that at this point. I got to work on the next big thing. Oh, that was like a year ago.
Again, it started out as an enormous protest of 10,000 plus people, most of whom departed across the.
One person says, if that is justice like Sharia, all countries can't not sleep and safe. Please go home. Calm down. I wouldn't say please go home. I think it's good that people are rising up. I just don't think it's a good idea to hurt innocent people or burn down small businesses. We're going to go after something, target the people that have been playing us against each other and using race to play us against each other for the last century, especially.
For the police bureau, a sizable chunk of people
multiple centuries, really.
Assembled around the sacred fence that the police have erected.
This is an issue of government, not race. There's tear gas deployed by the looks of it in Denver, Colorado.
So that they can hang out in front of the Justice Center and say hi to the Justice Center. The police don't want that to happen. And so every time members of the crowd shake the fence, they start paying attention to the crowd and also just kind of generally.
Person in the lower left-hand corner had like a wrestling belt on, like a champion, or that big fanny pack.
You fucking idiot!
Megan F says this will come to Australia too. Denver or Washington, D.C. is getting crazy.
Hey, if you got gas, do not drink water.
I feel like all of these places are going to kick off tonight. I mean, like yesterday was Providence.
Yeah, yesterday was Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin, and Providence, Rhode Island. Those were that's a firing, the first shot of the revolution. Well, also St. Louis and Las Vegas.
Yeah, I guess.
By the way, I sent you a link of other Portland feeds, but it's not great. It's just something that you can have on the side if you want to.
Just a second.
How many screens do you got there, Tim?
3, but 2 of them are, actually, 2 of them are pretty big, so.
Command center here.
We're in the Wolf Blitzer situation room over here.
And we're going to Jack Cafferty. See, this is how long it's been since I watched this crap. Oh, we went off the screen there. This is how long it's been since I watched CNN.
Yeah, I guess I just logged on.
Peaceful protest! Peaceful protest! Peaceful protest!
See, they're trying to chant peaceful protest, and then the agent provocateurs are like, we'll see about that.
I can try to bring over that other feed that you sent over here.
This is a moment. Things are happening in Washington.
Protester threw a firework, I believe.
See, all these protesters, this is what you get from the independent media, is all these people are calling for peaceful protest, and then there's like a provocateur who shoots fireworks off of the cops. Then Algeria says protest against brainwashing media. Propaganda wing of the government.
Beautiful black king.
So tear gas has now been deployed in Washington, D.C. and Portland, Oregon. It got pretty crazy earlier today in New York City, but it's calmed down a bit. We'll see what happens later. It's amazing. There's like no feeds out of New York City that you can search or find in searches. It's insane. It's New York City. And it's been like this all week. And cell phone signals are being jammed across the board. They're shutting off people's signal. I mean, this is obviously almost like a dry run for driving people against each other, divide and conquer, destroying individualism, and creating new security and surveillance measures, all while, kind of infiltrating the peaceful movements and then tracking everyone everywhere, and then jamming signals and stopping people from being able to find basic information.
So a few years ago, so Ernest Hancock of freedomsphoenix.com, Josh obviously knows who I'm talking about. He asked Ron Paul, he's like, hey, what advice do you have for people? And he said, Ron turned to him and looked at him and goes, buy a gun. I mean, when you've got, Dr. Ron Paul, I mean, that's his advice of where he thinks things are going in America. I mean, he's been out there calling this, like it is right from the, I'm talking about specifically the coronavirus, but basically everything. Back at Acapulco, and he was talking about, as a physician, when he first got into Congress, they were talking about the dangers of coronavirus back in like 1974 or something. And that this was, nowhere near as bad as what people were making it out to believe. And this is when it was still going on, and he was flying down to, technically a third world country. And, he wasn't scared. Let's see, let's turn this volume back on. But yeah, keeping the Second Amendment. This is the dry run for when Joe Biden gets in there, and then they unilaterally make some sort of executive action to try to take the guns.
And M says walkie-talkies can't be monitored. They definitely can. Encrypted, maybe, but they can be monitored.
I'll stand right in front of your ass, bro. I'll stand right in front of your ass. promise you, I'll stand right here. You never saw me. You have another cigarette on you.
Share on social media and hit that like button if you haven't already, my friends.
And Logan Benetton says, when I search live, I can't find anything. I had to come here to get any live videos. Yeah, you try searching in this day and age, you cannot find anything.
I can't really hear you, Tim. You're kind of muffled out.
What about now? Was that just from?
No, it's from the video that's playing over top of you.
I wanted to make sure I didn't like unplug anything when I was.
Scroll up a little bit.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Stay out here. Let your voice be heard. If y'all throw stuff, man, they're gonna shoot at us.
If we get chased away, we're gonna stop shooting here in.
Everyone's gonna run. It's over. Water bottles is doing nothing, bro. Stop.
And if you have suggestions of places where things are kicking off, let us know, and we'll try to get there.
Don't shoot! Don't shoot! Don't shoot!
Mororo says maybe people need to start open carry protests. That's why Michigan COVID protest was successful. And, we're doing a lot of that out here in Arizona, like 2012. But that's one thing where the police, I mean, they don't mess around sometimes with the carry stuff. They, it is dangerous. Mainly it's when they try to ID you, then if you get ID'd, and then it escalates.
Undercover cop! What's he doing? Undercover cop.
They're chanting undercover cop.
Riot here.
They're saying that these two here are undercover cops.
I don't see no riot here. So this is the scene in Portland, Oregon. And again, if you're just joining us and you're enjoying this stream and you'd like to support it, please go to and donate to the Black Resilience Fund on GoFundMe.
That's not us.
Yeah, that we're not telling people to do that.
It's probably like two white guys running the Black Resilience Fund or something.
That's always a good sign. Yeah, there were people saying undercover cop there, and look, there's been a lot of agent provocateurs, a ton of agent provocateurs. Jessica Frost's live stream was finally interrupted after all this time. It's so crazy. Those people with the umbrellas have been lined up against the police forever now. There has been tear gas deployed in Portland, Oregon. There's been tear gas and fireworks deployed in Washington, D.C. People have been shooting fireworks at the police in Washington, D.C. In Seattle, things are really getting heated in a standoff with the police. There's only one. People aren't going to just go, all right, that's it, and go home. I mean, there's thousands of them out tonight, thousands. And this is also a symptom of people who have no job right now. They lost their job in the shutdown. We're dealing with the biggest global depression in the history of the world. So, I mean, these things are all adding up to one huge stressor issue based on, well, also people being stressed out, anxious, depressed, forced inside, no vitamin D, all this kind of stuff. They're finally let out. And then it's like letting kids out after keeping them inside for
after curfew.
Yeah. Seriously, they're treating people like children, and people are taking that too, but some aren't, obviously. But there's a huge co-opting of the movement. Megan F says, no black, no white, only fellow man. Yeah, well, absolutely. Some people would yell at you, fellow man? You mean you only think, human. Yeah, man, human means the same thing. Synonymous. But yeah, I completely agree, Megan. And that's kind of what we're dealing with right now. Agenda 21, 2021 / NWO, says Lee Mororo. Carlos Gomez says, divide and conquer. That's exactly it. It's an ancient strategy going back to Julius Caesar, divide and conquer. I believe that was used against the Germanic tribes. That was used in the Basque country by Julius Caesar. Divide them, make them fight against each other, and then conquer them. It's the greatest way to enslave the masses. Let's turn the audio up a little bit.
All right, just a second here.
So here we are.
Here we are.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Is it better if I turn it horizontal? You all like that more?
I'm gonna look up that guy, see if he's live streaming today.
What was it called? The Allen Report?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to keep it horizontal as long as I can.
Peter Birdsall says thumbs this up. I appreciate that. Yeah, hit that like button, my friends, and share on social media to help us get around the shadow banning.
1,000 strong, approaching the sacred fence in front of the Justice Center and the federal courthouse. The police do not want us to cross.
This guy calls a lot of things sacred.
All right. So at some point, presumably, they'll start doing the thing that they do.
That thing.
And yeah, our police don't wear body cameras here in the city of Portland. Now, the mayor did today end the curfew thing that he had going on. So everyone here is legal. There's no law against being out right now. But the fence, touching the sacred fence, is apparently verboten. So that is the justification we have. Don't have to be. The Black Resilience Fund is the number of the fund that I'd like people to donate to right now.
Okay, so can you mute that for a second? This guy keeps trying to get people to donate to some stupid.
They've
fund.
already got over 100. They got $125,000 already in donations.
Oh wow!
I went to their site.
That's crazy. Well, look. So police are the violent arm of the government. Without the police, the government is only fear. So the police are literally the violent wing of an organized crime racket. They are the henchmen. Now, with that said, a lot of you feel different ways. I'm sure probably most people watching aren't an anarchist. I don't believe in government. I believe in individuals and private governance. But with that said, look, what we're witnessing right now is something that's been a long time coming. People rising up against the government. The problem is it's being co-opted by the government. Imagine that. They do it every single time. Every freaking time this happens. Look at Ferguson. Look at Occupy. Look at the Tea Party. This isn't just one side or the other. And again, the political spectrum is a circle. It is not left or right.
And they all get co-opted. They all get co-opted too. So then, people like Google and the CIA can, which, pretty much the same thing, can see what's going on, like especially with Tea Party movement. And, that started with like Ron Paul libertarians and then ended with, basically Glenn Beck and, all these other, people that hijack the movements. And, even I guess the new version of Glenn Beck, I'm calling Ben Shapiro, but luckily I haven't really seen anything that he's put out lately. So maybe he's shadow banned too or something, but that's what I'd love to see you and him get into it on anything.
Me and who?
Ben Shapiro.
Oh God.
On anything.
Ben Shapiro loves the CIA. He praises the CIA constantly and the Iraq War. Hey, I want to mention,
I can't stand it, dude.
I wrote a couple of statuses today on Facebook. One of them says, I'm old enough to remember when people claimed protesters were racist for protesting the action of police and government. Another post I made today was, I'm old enough to remember when people wanted protesters to get sick and die. Oh, wait, that was like a month ago. That's weird. Oh,
like a week ago.
Yeah, a week and a half ago. Damn. Dan Dix, our friend, got beaten up for protesting by people that were against him protesting because of the shutdown. And then he again got attacked 2 days ago for covering a left-wing protest against the police. They called him a racist and attacked him on live video on YouTube. I mean, you just can't. I really feel bad for him right now. He's just like,
what do they have against
Dix?
Dix?
By both ends. Yeah. What do they have against Dix? If you're just tuning in, we're talking about Dan Dix. Someone just tunes in. The first thing they hear is, I know there's someone out there that just tuned in and just for that.
And 10 people dropped off.
Yeah.
It's Wham! After Dark.
An American in Russia says Alaska. I've been looking into Alaska. I can't really find anything.
We'll have to call these segments Wham! After Curfew.
Right. I don't know what to call these videos anymore because I can't name it the same thing every night. I don't know.
Rabbit Kook wrote, Dan got surrounded by angry Karens.
Yeah, well, he got surrounded by angry Karens at a protest that he was involved in at the shutdowns, over the shutdowns, and then he got surrounded by a bunch of angry Karens again when he went to report on people's protests against police. And Dan's a guy who directed and produced the movie Into the Fire. He's not pro-police. He literally exposed Asian provocateurs in one of the most intense documentaries ever. So just really frustrating. Bunch of kids have never heard of him. One idiot's like, oh, this guy's racist. So everyone's like, oh, you're racist. And then there's like a crowd, and it's like crowd formation. Everyone's attacking him. Absolutely ridiculous. Want to turn on the audio?
And on here right now.
George Soros.
Yeah. I can't tell you what is happening in
I just saw a video. There's a naked dude that went and attacked 2 protesters, and then they went and attacked him. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Is that what you've been watching today?
I'm on Twitter, and it's what I see.
So the people
by the way, ZP Zach says masks will throw off facial recognition cameras. Absolutely.
Oh, Robin, it's you.
They were useful for something after all.
He's a good guy.
Except
We had a lot of fun in the past.
They've got it down to where they can track you to like your earlobe now. Like, I'm not even joking. Like in China, they literally can do that. So,
by the way, Kingsley Edwards wants to join us. Do you want to send him the link?
Something sounds like the crowd brings their hands together at once.
Yeah, can you send Kingsley the link?
Just a really
password is
powerful and inspiring sound.
We're about to be joined by Kingsley Edwards, the CEO and founder of Float.app, the social media network.
Police behind the fence.
Yeah, it's funny.
But of course, these police have access to impact munitions and tear gas. Yeah, I wish my hair looked better right now, y'all. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you should have your hair look much better next time.
Maybe all these guys
so
are
you're to the riot. You better have a beautiful
a third of the crowd that marched here. So I don't know. It seems like a pretty popular movement, whatever it is. Yeah, only 18% of Portland police actually live in the city of Portland.
Sid in Algeria says, leave your smartphones at home, no tracking.
Fewer police officers now who are actually friendly police in the city live in the city of Portland.
Portland almost destroyed my vehicle.
Cops are outside of the city to help during the kerfuffle. So 2 nights ago, one of which is outside
live button
inside Portland helping out.
So I was driving through Portland last year, and I decided to go off the freeway and just drive around some random neighborhood. Man, they don't know how to build a city. I almost flipped my truck just driving up a street, and it was just a random dead end, so I had to back up my truck and go around. And I went up the curb, it jolted the truck sideways. I look out the window, and I'm just looking at the road. And I'm like, this is just a road, a random road in Portland. This is how you guys build roads?
Photographic evidence, and again, also
the hell out of me.
Evidence that Riot or that National Guard are carrying rifles, despite the fact that the governor said they would not be carrying rifles. Yeah. I switched phone. I've got a new phone on.
It seems like there's been a lot of unreported, but very legitimate. There's been a lot of cases of people killing cops at some of these protests, and cops killing people at some of these protests. No one's talking about it.
Rifles, despite the fact that Governor Tate Brown said that they would not be armed.
Andrew Simpson says good night. Good night to you, Andrew.
We seem to have National Guard with rifles in the city of Portland right now. And if you are just joining us,
and Megan's got to go too. So I appreciate you joining us today, Megan, and everyone else that's tuning in. If you haven't hit that like button, I appreciate it. Megan says I got to go. Thanks, or go guys. Thanks, World Alternative Media, and everyone. Take care. Don't go to protest. Get your own house in order. Prepare. God bless. Well, God bless you. Definitely should get your own house in order in the sense that freedom comes from within. You are free. You are the permission. You are the right. Be the right. Be the change. Don't wait for government to give it to you. Is Kingsley signing in yet?
Be a real
I just
unpleasant
sent
scene
the,
for all of us here. Really gonna suck. Hello to everybody on Twitch. We're here in Portland.
And in case you guys know, I've been I just restarted putting out my own content.
Can you turn on the volume? Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I just started putting out my own content again on my channel because I moved, had a bunch of stuff going on. So I've been doing some walk and talks with my dog. But yeah, I had 2 of them today, 1 yesterday. Mainly about economic things, and actually the last one was about what was pissed me off with the protesters. But yeah, if you guys wanted to check that out at my channel, it's yeah, I mean, it's still up there. I'm sure eventually we'll be getting kicked off, as well. But why it's there. And I'd rather you actually subscribe to the podcast, because through the podcast you can find out where you can get other information, because and same thing with Josh. I mean, don't just rely on being able to type in World Alternative Media someday and being able to get that on YouTube, because I think right before the election they're going to just be a massive purge of anyone that's not a communist over here on YouTube.
Oh man,
yeah. I didn't hear back. I didn't hear back from Kingsley, but let's see. Maybe I sent it on Facebook.
So Kingsley Edwards is coming on right away.
Yeah, he heard they were talking about dicks, and no. Just kidding, Kingsley. I know you're probably watching.
If he was, he'd be on here by now. So yeah, we've seen tear gas and fireworks deployed in Washington, D.C., tear gas deployed in Portland. Last night in Providence, Rhode Island, we saw a police car exploded. We saw tear gas thrown at the police. We saw people breaking into a lot of stores, and then they started a shoe store on fire. The shoe store, the fire started spreading to the rest of the building, and then the camera guy looked up and he's like, oh man, it's an apartment building, and there's an old lady 3 stories up screaming out the window. And they're trying to throw rocks at the windows to wake people up in there. The fire trucks were going right by. They weren't doing anything. It was really sad. The live stream ended soon after. We don't know what happened, but that was in Providence, Rhode Island, and that was just insane. Rupert Watson says, hey, we are doing actual live coverage. Yeah. Or are we doing actual live coverage? Yeah, this is all live all over the United States. Kingsley is signing in here. Kingsley, turn on your camera and say hello.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Is the world burning?
Technically, slowly by the rays of the sun. Just slowly, ever so slowly. I don't know what from the inside as well.
Is that the organizers and
oops.
What are you guys watching?
Footage of everything. They were with Black Lives Matter.
Seattle.
And I mean, it's like, man, they didn't have to be with Black Lives Matter. They've been doing it.
So how do you feel about the way these protests have been going the last couple of days? I mean, last night, a police officer was shot dead in the head in Las Vegas, and 2 other cops were shot in Las Vegas as well on the Strip. Did not die. But those were separate cases, too, not even the same person.
Oh, really? So 4 total?
3 total.
Okay.
1 + 2 is 3.
I thought you said
common core math now. So.
Sorry. Yeah, I was raised on that public education. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I've just doing the live streams with you for that many hours back to back. I kind of had to stay away for at least during the day. I've been checking in on nighttime, but mostly and honestly, like kind of just even for like just protection. Obviously we live far away from the Strip, but there was protests here a couple of nights ago that didn't end up going anywhere, thankfully. But yeah, it's crazy situation. Has there been any other like crazy things that have happened today that I missed out on?
Could we bring up the multi-stream? Yeah. Well, so far, there's been a few cars burned in New York City, but that was earlier on in the day. It's weird. A lot of things happen during like the afternoon, like at 1 p.m. I've been pretty shocked by the things I've been seeing in the.
Well, I mean, there are 40 million people unemployed now, so it's not like they're
but at night, not at nighttime.
The protest is moving away from the sacred fence, but not all of it. Decent number of people still staying up here.
I mean, this guy with the sacred fence deal. I mean, it wasn't that funny the first time you said it, and like
we've got some cops moving this way, so moving to kind of intercept the protest. I don't know where it's going to go off, but it is
the sacred fence in Portland.
That much seems to be a guarantee.
I can't even find his feed on
man, that's wild.
Periscope. I think it's a private feed that this guy actually just has access to.
Yeah, Kingsley, I went and I was on Twitter and I just searched protest. The first thing that shows up is Rachel Maddow talking about an actual CIA agent. And then you type in like on YouTube live, you type in like live Portland riot and nothing shows up, or it's nothing like on the whole website. Like, I'm sure that's legit.
Makes complete sense. And I know they've been pushing also like the local news channels for the most part, instead of these independent people that are on the ground who have like 10 times or 20 times or 100 times more views on their live streams. But what are you going to do except create a better alternative?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there is an alternative.
Softball into that one. Yeah.
What's this alternative? Minds? Oh, yeah, it's Float. That's right. Tell us a little bit about that.
flote.app. If you are on the ground during these protests, you will not get censored on Float if you live stream on Float. So check it out.
Yeah, and you can get super chats in crypto. By the way, Kingsley, I want to talk to you a little bit later. I know I'm saying this on stream, but this is casual anyway. I'm talking to business owners in Puerto Vallarta that are actually interested in putting Bitcoin ATMs and stuff in their businesses here, as the shutdowns have hurt them dramatically. Not the shutdowns here, the shutdowns in the US, because people aren't
I'll be right back, guys.
Here. And they've basically lost all of this money and they can't afford to, keep up their business. And I've been teaching a bunch of people about Bitcoin around here. And there's been a few people that are telling me they want to put Bitcoin ATMs in their business. There are no Bitcoin ATMs in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. There are in Guadalajara, but not in Puerto Vallarta. So, I think we're really seeing a movement towards, the direction of decentralization.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of the, unfortunately the best time. And one of the best reasons to use cryptocurrency is because, fiat monetary system is funding this, tyrannical state that we've been all had to deal with for now, centuries really. And this is, now we're seeing what's kind of the end game from all this.
Office Truffles mentions cops run over in New York. Yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of cops being run over in New York. Press for Truth did a video showing some of that today as well. Look, I just really, people keep giving the cops the benefit of the doubt, including some of my friends, and it's kind of frustrating to me because it's like, oh, well, that kid shouldn't have been at that protest if that peaceful protest, if that child didn't want to get maced. They shouldn't come to riots. That's bad parenting. And I'm like, first of all, showing people standing up to the government is good parenting. Second of all, it wasn't a riot. It was a peaceful protest that if your issue is that if you bring a child to a peaceful protest, they'll get shot in the face by the cops. So it's dangerous. It's bad parenting. The issue isn't bad parenting then. It's the fact that police are shooting kids in the face with tear gas.
Right.
I mean, like, where's the priorities at? I mean, I know it's not black and white. I hope Tim gets back soon because I want audio on this Portland because they're deploying tear gas in Portland right now.
Wow.
And you could see it from above on the camera below that as well. Lots of action in Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, just to piggyback of what you were saying, I shared that video of like the National Guard and the police rolling through that suburban neighborhood and then shooting pepper balls at the lady who didn't go in immediately, and their command was light them up.
Yeah, I know.
So that's gotten now I think like around 40,000 views on Facebook, and the comments on it are most are obviously anti what happened. We're seeing some huge explosions in Portland. Wow, look, this guy's just walking away.
Tim, turn the audio on.
Holy shit.
So yeah, we're getting hit. We're getting hit pretty bad. Oh yeah, police are just tossing shit right at people. And again, here we have the cops. Here we have peaceful demonstrators. Things being thrown directly at people. Hits directly at people. Gassing traffic again. So here we have, look how many cars there are here. All of these people are
in the middle of traffic
by the Portland Police Bureau. Oh boy, they're just started arcing them down at us from God, maybe on the fucking roof.
You can see people running from above below there too.
Trying to traffic cone them, trying to kick them away, trying to stop them from gassing traffic.
There's an anarcho-communist flag.
They're gassing traffic.
They are shooting them down on us from everywhere, from the fucking roof.
That sounds like Josh Friedman.
Police firing on all sides, pumping gas into traffic, pumping gas into the crowd, shooting gas. Wow. Look, there's fucking tear gas. There's fucking tear gas.
It's gonna suffocate people. What if people have kids in the car?
That was just fired from someone up on a roof.
If you have asthma, that could literally cause you to go into a fit.
At random. Police saying officers have observed people throwing projectiles at police.
You won't see this on the
Based on
media.
my experience over the last few nights, those were probably water bottles, if anything happened at all. So in retaliation for a couple water bottles chucked at armored men, the police gassed everyone in these cars and thousands of protesters.
Sounds about right. I mean,
sending them fleeing. But we're seeing here, one of the
Government gassing people. Huh? Where have I heard that before?
Continued. The first couple of nights, see, we have people in the cars handing out water. Thank you so much, man. We have seen people get so much better at reforming the crowd after being gassed. That started to really improve on Sunday night. And look, most of the people are still here, still organized, still marching,
speaking
still
of
many.
gas, I mean, the gas that killed a certain group, I can't even say that on YouTube, even talking about historical knowledge over here, was made by IG Farben, and IG Farben was then basically eventually broken into Bayer, and then Bayer now owns Monsanto. And before they got bought by Monsanto, Bill Gates, shifted a lot of his assets to actually owning Monsanto, which also made the gas for Agent Orange and Roundup and so many other bad things. But yeah, Bill Gates loves you.
And Syndicat says people trying to go home, but cops
Well
want to
over
riot
2,000
instead.
people marching through the Burnside Bridge into downtown.
These Portland protesters, they're just like walking away. They're not even running.
I'm pretty sure they've got a tolerance to tear gas at this point in Portland.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, it pisses me off because I don't have to agree with the protesters. In fact, I probably won't in most cases because it's Portland and it's just filled with communists. But the fact of the matter is this is a government problem. It's funny to watch communists fight the police, considering the police are the ones that enforce communism. But nonetheless, to see them gas traffic like that, I mean, people are going to suffocate. I have asthma. If I got tear gassed like that and I was stuck in a car, you can turn off or recycle. You can try recycle air all you want. It'll get in, and you're going to be choking, and you won't be able to drive. And I would be wheezing on like over the steering wheel. Like that's really fucked up.
Kings would have to be mouth to mouth.
What was that?
Kings would have to give me mouth to mouth.
Deployed.
I've been looking for my TV. I've been looking for my TV remote everywhere, and it's literally right next to me the entire time. I've been searching high and low, and it's underneath the stacks of paper.
If the choice was Josh dying or me giving him mouth to mouth, I would unfortunately have to watch him die.
Listen. Don't listen to Tim because Tim has been in some weird thing over tonight's show talking about naked men tackling people and mouth to mouth.
I will say that was actually
here?
hilarious.
What happened? To stop these tear gas grenades from protesters and from gas.
They're putting pylons on top of the tear gas.
Man, Portland's getting organized.
A significant amount of tear gas, and instead it was stopped. And a lot of motorists were stopped from being gassed, like the woman we saw earlier. So.
If you're just joining us, we're bouncing all over the country looking at protests and riots, whatever it may be. Lots of gas being deployed in Portland, gas and fireworks being deployed in Washington, D.C. Right now, a lot of eyes are on Seattle, obviously. And hit that like button and share on social media if you haven't already to help us actually reach people as we are a shadow band. We are joined by Tim Picciott of the Liberty Advisor and Kingsley Edwards of Float.
How do I make it on Zoom where I've got all three of us like, at once? And I know there's.
No, let's just. I think we're pretty good the way it is right here. It just bounces to us when we talk.
Reform repeatedly, but most of them just run around. So this is the first time we've seen the best job of the crowd.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people calling for banning tear gas lately. Now, I'm not a fan of banning. I don't think we should be asking the government to do things to stop the government from doing things because that's just stupid and counterproductive. But what do you think about these recent calls to end the use of tear gas and that tear gas is extremely poisonous to a lot of people and can really lead to long-lasting lung conditions?
Yeah, I mean, well, we need the government at least to a ban on government use of firearms and tear gas and non-lethal, no batons for governments, no handcuffs. I mean, pretty much just wear your clown suit and go marching and like you're doing something positive.
Yeah, dance around. Oh, I got a magical shiny badge. And
give them the biggest, shiniest badges, but take away all their weapons.
Yeah. Participation awards. Well, look, I mean,
the coolest hats too.
Yeah, well, that actually goes back. It's interesting because you know the peace sign, the circle with a three prong foot. That comes from the International Nuclear Disarmament Committee back in the 1950s.
Wasn't it actually like a bad sign that sort of then got that they want to like have us use to mean a good sign, even though it's really a bad, like flashing like a bad sign, because it's like everything's always inverted. So like the swastika actually was like isn't like a Hindu, like one of like that
peace. Used to mean
most
peace and
sacred.
love, yeah.
It's like one of the most sacred signs there are. Now that's been hijacked to mean, you know, we all know what that means now. But I heard it was almost like the opposite for the peace sign. But
that's why I like the emoji with the two thumb or the two fingers,
which have been fired wildly.
That's how many fingers you like? Look, so sorry.
We know you like 2 and 1.
But I have thought about you know, these symbols a lot. I mean,
the grenades,
swastika, but then the swastika also is reminiscent. When Obama was running, he had this image of a sun rising over a horizon, like, you know, a new day, peace, the light of dawn. Interesting for people who read the Bible, the light of dawn. It's interesting to see that we always see politicians use symbols, most of the time anyway, to gain support from the masses. Let's turn this up a bit. What's happening here?
You see that? They're shooting just overhead into the crowd, leaving people with no place to flee to. We are doing our best. Kids, I've got your mom's hand. We're okay. We're okay. They are gassing the hell out of us, though. Yes, here.
Oh, wow. I mean, imagine if this is going down in Syria and we'd be like, oh my God, we need to go get a Bashar al-Assad. What a monster. He's gassing his own people. Like, I don't know.
And that was the U.S. government, too.
That's what they're probably leading to, is like China or the UN coming in with peace.
Yeah.
They gotta be good.
Take over all the areas.
They're surrounding these people, completely surrounding them on all streets, and just boxing them in and shooting them with firecrackers, fireworks, and tear gas.
Well, looks like we know what we're doing tomorrow night too.
Protesters moving for everyone to walk. Organized.
Have they been arresting anybody for curfew?
No, there's no curfew tonight. Weirdly, in Portland, they pulled back the curfew last night.
I saw in New York they're arresting like old people.
I ran right through a crowd.
Doing normal things and letting protesters.
Oh man, these people are all gonna have terrible headaches tomorrow.
And hailed a cloud of tear gas.
Oh, that's a terrible feeling.
It's a good time to invest in tear gas.
Oh, I hate doing that.
It's a terrible time because it's not going to be used as much as this in a month if things calm down.
We're back. We've been pushed back.
I mean for yourself right now.
Square.
I mean, are things really going to calm down?
Continuing to push in through traffic.
I think they'll calm down briefly.
Gassing everyone.
Respite, and then there'll be some economic collapse, 2.0 or whatever you call it.
It's really hard to say if things are going to be, getting better at all. I mean, it just seems like we're in a spiral out of control right now.
Declared an unlawful assembly as the police gas, not just
PT loser.
Look at these cops walk through this like stormtroopers.
Gassing cars wildly. Thousands of people march through the city. This is a police riot. That is what we are seeing.
Fucking hit by a car here.
Into crowds. Police shooting at traffic.
So who escalated that? I was watching. They were just standing there.
As gas poison.
And then the police started all of this.
Right at him.
Hits them.
This guy, he's got some balls.
Portland police.
He's the closest guy to the cops.
Shout out to Robert Evans.
A riot of the citizens of Portland. This is a riot of the Portland Police Bureau who have lit a fire. The Portland Police Bureau, 82% of whom live outside of the city of Portland. So if you are looking for outside agitators, the men dumping tear gas grenades into traffic, 82% of them do not live in this city.
Wow.
Yeah, these same people,
and 48% of them beat their wives.
All of this is happening because people got close to a fence.
Because you losers told everybody to take away all the
now.
guns is why this is why they're able to do that.
So a lot of violence deployed from the Portland Police Bureau today.
So this is what happens when I give up all my defenses.
And marching.
Everyone from Portland's like, we want more government. Well, here's more government. So
this is a cop riot. This is for damn sure a cop riot.
Wow.
And you saw people earlier crying in traffic as they were tear gas. People just trying to get home. People just trying to bring food, do delivery jobs, getting gassed by Portland police, who were not just shooting at people.
Truffle says corralling.
But who were arcing grenades.
Lee Mororo says protest in Hong Kong is 100% backed by the government. Protest in the Washington D.C. Well, not so much.
What the police bureau does is to provoke a panic in order to disrupt the crowd.
I think the government backs all of this.
Provoking a panic in the middle of a city.
They're clearly creating a chaos right now.
Panic hundreds of motorists.
Those protesters were just standing there, and they immediately attacked them with tear gas and fireworks.
Well, it's past their bedtime, Josh.
They don't even have a curfew tonight.
The Portland Police Bureau are rioting.
It's past their bedtime.
People threw bottles occasionally at the police.
Gassing traffic.
But the police threw impact munitions and gas grenades, often into crowds of people in their cars.
Apparently, I heard in Las Vegas there's going to be one day of outage with
a lot of people are watching now.
Not sure if it's for
joining me, you can donate to the Black Resilience Fund to support the Black.
I would not accept
the Black Resilience Fund on GoFundMe. The Portland police are
This isn't us telling you to donate to that. This is just
gassing repeatedly their citizens. I'm going to take some water here. That's some helpful people left behind.
Strategically
One
placed
of the
water.
tear gas grenades.
It's like being in a video game where you just have a health kit sitting there, and you're like, "Oh, a health kit, great." Here, they just have a bunch of water sitting there.
So what's with Seattle and the umbrellas?
That's a good question. I thought at first I had this weird feeling that it had something to do with the umbrella man. But
it does rain a lot in Seattle.
It looks like you're flipping people off there, Tim.
Bullhorn says they've been real jumpy this week. We've been setting this bitch off, huh?
That's good
These
to know.
impact munitions or these grenade munitions and whatnot have here we have
Good thing is I've got this
one.
playing on my TV now, so if I leave here and if Josh
these
like,
lit
hey,
fires
let's go turn
under
this up,
one
turn it
car,
down,
a Prius on a Friday night.
All right, cool.
See here that they do burn
Have the
quite a little
technology.
bit. There was a fire earlier.
They got the command center going.
As far as I can tell, I've seen some video
Yeah, it is
evidence.
pretty nuts
The vehicle was
How
actually.
long is this going to go on to? Because I'm starting to feel like this is just like a routine now, and that I have to do these live streams every single night. And so I was thinking tonight, I'm just going to relax tonight. Then things were happening. I'm like, I can't not report on this now. So now every night I'm live here. But hit that like button if you're just tuning in. We're bouncing all over the country. We have a multi-stream here, and things are getting crazy in Portland, Oregon. Imagine that. I think
Kingsley, yesterday he asked me to do this, and I'm like, dude, I'm definitely not doing like any 5-hour stuff that you did with.
Yeah, wanted to call out one of the changes
like
here.
4 hours later.
I know, I saw it.
well, to be fair, you didn't do a 5-hour. You did 4.5. So.
While on vehicles, drove through town looking for groups of 5 or 6 people and shooting them with munitions.
So they gas traffic in Portland. That's just totally fucked up.
So the Portland Police Bureau rolling off after
all those cops hanging on the edge of a van. Do you see that?
Yet again.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. I saw one, or maybe it was when we were streaming, Josh, where like 2 cops fell off the van when they took off.
It's like the Keystone Cops. They're like, whoa, they slip on a banana peel.
Yeah,
it's slip on one of their banana, donuts. But hey, I can't help but think, is that because they burned up so many police vehicles lately that they have to all just jump on the roof of it? Because that's what they do in Mexico. It's crazy. You see these vehicles driving around, and there's 30 cops all hanging on the top, and they're like on top of each other and on the rack, the gun rack and everything. Oh, here we go. Bottom left.
They seem to be pulling back. It may, in fact, not be pulling back.
Yeah, they just gas traffic in Portland. That's totally insane. Geosis says, seriously, when do you guys think these riots are going to ease up? They're going to ease up and then probably start again. I don't know. They could just end and fizzle out if the media just decides to not talk about it anymore.
When they get the $14 trillion reparations.
They didn't finally. Well,
yeah. Or they get their second wave of corona so they can lock us up more.
Streaming back in.
I mean, this is all, I think, this is a beta
the crowd got to reform itself like 5 or 6
see what they can get away with
before it got dispersed.
What the police will do to people, what people will come with. And then,
again, this is like the best we've seen crowds here.
What's up? Got Dan Dix in the house.
So far.
Hey, Dan.
We saw people.
Yes, Dan, those are live feeds, and thank you for joining us. I was just pimping your latest video and also talking about how you got attacked by a bunch of Karens recently and how you were previously getting attacked by a bunch of Karens when you were out protesting against the shutdowns recently. So you can't really win, can you? But yeah, can you turn it down a little bit, Tim?
Yeah.
I don't know if my voice is even coming through half the time, but Dan says, yeah, it was pretty intense. Yeah, I mean, look, we're dealing with an issue of government that's been bastardized and turned into an issue of race, when race is an issue of class and class is an issue of government, and government being the biggest predator here that pushes people into poverty and runs crack into black communities, all this kind of stuff. And you try to say this and they're like, nope, racism. I hate these other people. And you end up part of their divide and conquer agenda. It's really all divide and conquer right now. There's Karen. Let's get back to those feeds there for those just tuning in. We are doing all site. We're covering protests and riots all over the country, and they've deployed tear gas. They just gassed traffic in Portland. So the people were literally just standing there, and this is what you won't see on the mainstream media. They were just standing there, and they started gassing a whole street of traffic. People were inhaling fumes of tear gas in their vehicles. It's really messed up.
Yeah, Dan, if you go back like 10 minutes.
It does happen. No, we're still good. We're still good. And we had
you'll hear Josh complaining a lot about his asthma.
No, I'm saying if you have asthma,
I had to breathe the recycled air,
a lot of people have asthma. If you're in your car in traffic, there's like 40 cars there, and they just tear gassed all the cars.
We know you do because you mention it in every video, but.
Streets of Portland?
I do not, but yo tengo asthma. I do know how to tell these people here, because when you walk around the streets of Puerto Vallarta, everyone's offering you weed, and you're like, no, yo tengo asthma. I cannot smoke.
Once.
Anarchopoco.
That is what the Portland Police Bureau considers a proportionate response.
He's like, do you want a horseback ride? I'm like, no horseback ride. He's like, weed. I'm like, I like the diversification over there. So,
heroin?
It's an entrepreneur.
Massage?
Oh, you don't want a horseback ride?
The Nomad Pack says, can you open full screen? Yeah, sure. Can we open the full screen on this? I don't know if it'll make much of a difference, but.
And again, if you're joining us, you like what we're doing, you want to support me, I'm doing fine, but you can make me happy by donating.
All right. There's more pimping his donation to whatever George Soros fund there. All right, here we go.
Hey, how you doing? Good stuff. Yeah, it's been a fun night, huh? Where you been? I mean, through here, getting tear gassed and shot at a bunch. They were fucking shooting stuff
What's up?
in the middle of the crowd.
Can you get that thing off the screen?
Yeah. Before people got to the fence, they were shooting pepper balls through the fence at people. The sacred fence is fine. If anyone's worried about the fence, I think they will take a knee during the day, and I think they will use that knee to allow them to arc grenades into the crowd more effectively. Oh, okay. So it looks like another chunk of protesters.
Roy Oma Frey says these videos are good. Thanks for tuning in.
It sounds like a fucking grenade to me. So someone behind me says, let's go give them some help.
Look, most of these people don't know what they're protesting, and they're not people I agree with, but
people yelling, we need
the government is instigating most of the violence.
Yeah, we're all glad the fence is okay. I'm glad it's inspired you to be out there. People should be out there. It's important to be out here. It's important to let the police know that
Black Lives Matter is so co-opted. Black Lives Matter is like, they don't care when there's black men getting killed by black men in Chicago, but when it's political and beneficial to them, that's when they suddenly get on board, which tells me they don't actually care about black people. They care about politicizing
other places.
Tragedy.
I'm a journalist, conflict journalist. I've worked in Iraq and Syria and Ukraine. I do investigative journalism for Bellingcat. And I also have a podcast called Behind the Bastards, another one called The Women's War about my time in Rojava. So if you want to check that stuff out, please do.
That last one's kind of weird.
Particularly interesting. The Women's War. because it follows a society with an authoritarian dictatorship that pulled back and had to leave a chunk of that country, which found itself suddenly without a lot of like the police, particularly like the secret police, mukhabarat that they've been used to. Folks had to like figure out how to reform society, and they did it in a much more egalitarian.
Robin Wills says, lock Soros up.
What's called libertarian municipal.
Peter Birdsall says, how about unicorn riots? He hasn't been really doing anything.
This thinker named Murray.
Oh, really?
This group of
last night they did a little something early, but
Syria lives under this new
things
system.
have really died down in Minneapolis.
Attempted to be less hierarchical, more, based around.
This is spread to the rest of the country. Somewhat based on virtue signaling, somewhat based on the media just telling people to be angry, and somewhat based on the lockdown, somewhat based on poverty, somewhat based on police violence, somewhat based on government violence. There's a lot of mixture, and agent provocateurs, of course.
And of course, if you want to,
have you seen anything happening in Texas today?
Me right now.
We were looking a bit earlier at Dallas.
To the Black Resilience Fund,
people out.
Black community of Portland.
What do you think is going to happen in Las Vegas? Because things got insane last night.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't know. I haven't heard anything or really looked into it tonight, but we shall see. The time is now. It's 10:30 here, so.
If we can find any more.
You guys have any curfews?
Old-fashioned cop rioting.
Surprisingly not. I don't think so. I think there's a curfew set in Reno, but not Las Vegas. Which you would think Reno, they'd be like, okay, I'll just burn it down because we can probably build something better. But, yeah, nothing that I know of in Vegas yet.
Portland police just said, due to the criminal activity and unlawful assembly, everyone should leave the downtown core area immediately. Please do not come downtown. Yeah, they just unlawful activity. These people were just standing there. You don't have to agree with them as protesters, but they just started shooting tear gas at people in traffic. Messed up. Lots of feeds out of Portland tonight. There's tear gas deployed in Washington, and Seattle's getting kind of crazy.
I am going to
thousands in Seattle.
This is so funny. So
maybe things disperse.
I think Sheldon Adelson. Didn't he buy the Las Vegas Review Journal like years ago?
All right, so we're on our way to.
Yeah, I think so.
And so now 6 hours ago, they have an article: visitors ready for Las Vegas regardless of pandemic protests. It says so. The guy who owns the Venetian and the Palazzo,
hire that term,
biggest property on the strip.
Because I haven't run into any protests where people are.
Joseph says these bastards are jamming feeds big time tonight. Yeah,
you'll have some, like Proud Boys or Nazis, basically the same thing, show up and then people want to fight them.
Proud Boys is just a joke organization. It's a troll organization. Why do people fall into that stuff?
Why have they even shown their faces during this whole thing yet?
No.
A great deal of shops were vandalized.
Why would they? They'd be stupid to.
People were hurt by.
Unless they seriously just wanted to damage their own side.
Property was taken. Windows were damaged. But calling that violence seems like it kind of.
Peter Birdsall says ripping apart poor mom and pop stores so rotten. Yeah, I agree. It's last night watching someone almost burned to death because they burned down a shoe store in Providence, Rhode Island, and this poor old woman is on the 3rd floor and her building is on fire. So messed up. People are sleeping. People are shouting, throwing rocks at windows, trying to wake up people in the building, as if they could sleep though through that. But still, I mean,
Friday night, I'll give it to the police.
A few people have burned alive in this.
And now tonight we're all cop riots. They were riots where the police ran riot in the streets.
Look at those people in Seattle. That's insane. Thousands of people.
Yeah, there's no curfew tonight. They did try to arrest me once during curfew, but journalists are immune to that. Here we see a bunch of the guys who are just tear gassing traffic at random. So that's pretty cool. But where's First and Handhill? Oh, this is it. So there's nothing here.
It's yourself, you know what I'm saying? And you're able to make a lot of...
A bunch of police at First and Handhill. All right.
By the way, Kingsley, our last stream that I did with you got copyright strike.
Really?
See if we can find anything, but if another 10-15 minutes it seems like things are pretty calm, then
there's like a drum beat in the background for like 2 seconds and they copyright strike the freaking video
from the activist.
No, I remember tuning into some guy like went into his car and had the radio playing, but it was like a second, and then I caught it.
The move while being shot and gassed while still maintaining cohesion. How good a job individuals within the crowd did at keeping people calm.
People are in the thousands in Portland tonight, apparently.
The police obviously had no interest whatsoever in avoiding.
People are in the thousands in Seattle tonight and thousands in Washington,
They
D.C.
did a job at helping
Many from out of town.
Get tear gas out of their eyes when the police tear gas random motorists. I was impressed by the growth of Hong Kong tactics. That was the first night I really saw. For the last like 2 or 3 nights, people have been bringing traffic cones out. Tonight was the first time I saw people actually very successfully using cones and using pots, putting them over tear gas grenades, pouring water, putting out the grenades, and
I'm watching a few, screens on my side, a few lives on my side here on the computer, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
You can stream 2 things.
Yeah, there were a lot of medics in vehicles moving around to help protesters. Pretty impressive. The organization is getting better. And so
here, this post from Peter Birdsall was hidden automatically by YouTube. He said, hit the like button, all. Please report or please support real news. Why was that hidden by YouTube?
Otherwise, stay together,
my friend.
stay tight, stay focused, and look.
The new folks, new to doing this. And it takes time. It takes time. The first time you get tear gas and flashbang, you're probably pretty done for the night. If you're...
All right, I'm going to hop off. What time are you, how long, how much longer are you guys going to go?
Slightly liberal or whatever.
Probably not too much longer. We'll see. I got to get my stitches out tomorrow. Wish me luck.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait. Does that hurt? Have you ever gotten stitches pulled out?
Of your mouth?
Anywhere. Have you ever gotten stitches pulled out?
Yeah, no, typically it doesn't hurt.
Yeah, I've gotten stitches pulled out.
Okay, because I have no idea. Someone today was like, oh, man, that's going to hurt so much. I'm like, oh, I didn't think it would, but all right, great. Thanks. Thanks for joining us, Kingsley. And Kingsley Edwards is the CEO and founder of flote.app, flote.app. You can go join us there at Josh Sigurdson, as well as at Wham, as well as at the Liberty Advisor with an OR, of course, and of course at King, King on Flote. The future of social media, my friends. Get us there because we will not be on YouTube much longer. This is hate speech, don't you know? Anyway, I appreciate you joining us today, Kingsley. And for those just tuning in, we're going to keep following all this insanity that's going on around the United States tonight. Peace. All right, back to the screen share. And things are really heating up in Portland, Oregon.
Might even succeed in touching the sacred.
Keep them company for a second, Tim, while I go stretch.
Ooh, big group heading towards Pioneer Square.
All right, yeah, we can keep them company. I'll just show the naked guy.
Holy shit! Fun's doing great.
Just kidding.
Okay, let's.
Yeah. So, do you guys have any other streams you guys see
we're heading back to
going
Pioneer
on?
Square.
It looks like or other places that are kicking off because.
All right, I'm back.
Thank you so much.
Quick. Well, I just need to stretch.
Yeah, it got scattered a bit, but yeah, figure out where people are and get there.
See Andrew Simpson talking about the Bank of International Settlements, and that's a certainly important topic and one that we should cover at some point in depth. Not tonight, but
Tim, where's all your research on the Bank for International Settlements? Get at it. Come on.
Yeah. I've got a whole book that I made. I started reading that book like February 9th, and then I got like about halfway through
so that
it.
We catch when, for example, the police tear gas a bunch of motorists
150 videos later. I have not had time to
screaming and crying out of
process the rest. And actually, I got the audiobook, but I've still been
been gassed.
I guess it's just laziness.
Oh boy! Well, here we go. Look at this.
Supernova Dust says, enjoy the decline.
I didn't expect this. Look at this. We got us a whole big old crowd of people. See, they did
they found another protest.
Goddamn. So the fence I'm talking about is a fence around. Yeah. Is that where this crowd's headed?
Thank you, Troy, for subscribing.
So that guy said, if you want to leave, go to Burnside, the bridge. If you want to support your friends, go to Pioneer Square. So all these...
Thanks, Troy. Always happy to see new subscribers. Make sure to hit that subscribe button if you're just new to Wham. Always good to see new people. We are.
ZP Zap says people. Josh needs some Mota.
See what we can find. So again, these protests are doing an increasingly impressive job of reforming, of moving like water, learning
Yeah, I can't smoke weed anymore. Not these days. I just get
asthma.
I break out in hives and I cough. It's insane. I just woke up allergic one day. It's the weirdest thing I've ever seen. But
my treasure hunter has.
Oh yeah, thank you,
Liam
security.
Aurora says, "Wish you luck, Josh." Thank you.
Security. They seem to be good guys. Big old crowd behind us.
Peter Birdsall says it's hard to look away as the world burns. Yeah, it's like a car crash.
But
we're trying to keep people updated on what's happening and create some context for all of this, because this is history, and it's important that we don't allow the media to dictate how this information is spread. It's important that we don't allow the media to decide for us what's happening out there when it's clear we're seeing, and there's a Bernie Bros. It's clear we're seeing a huge manipulation by the mainstream media as to what's actually happening in the world right now. So this is an interesting other live. I think this is mostly Portland, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess, and it's one of our subscribers that suggested this feed.
All right, is that the police line I'm hearing?
Yeah, it looks like, when I was searching his name, I did see some police scanner stuff show up. Let me go back.
Oh yeah, live police audio, it says, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so people gathered again in that square, as you can see above, and that is the same square that they just deployed tear gas and the stormtroopers came through. So it looks like people went back.
And actually, it's funny. I'm looking at. Oh, never mind. All right, let's get some volume.
People chanting Breon and Haley's name. The names of the people who have been murdered.
Scot's Dimension says that sucks. Edibles are much better if you have a block of free time. Yeah. Well, I did do an edible last year. I used to do that a lot when I was younger. Trust me, I'm experiencing this. I just don't anymore.
And let's congratulate the individual labor. Yeah.
Can you scroll up?
So again,
so they just got gassed, and now they're just back in a huge crowd again.
Let that bus through. We're letting these cars through.
Still a lot of people here.
Earlier, he's like, yeah, you get gassed the first time. It's really traumatic, and you're probably going to go home and be done for the night. But he's like, once you've been gassed several times, it's just not as big of a deal.
Into traffic and arc grenades overhead into crowds of fleeing people.
Hands up! Hands up! Hands up!
So we're going to stop here for a second.
Things are going to get intense in Portland. Man, they already are.
Hands up! Hands up! Hands up!
Oh, I do hope people are letting the Portland police know what they think about the sacred fence.
John H23Z says Portland Antifa commies are the worst. Well, I agree, but actually, I think the governments are worse, and they instigate most of it, and they basically created the beast. Robin Willis says, I love my CBD pain cream by Go. Yeah, CBD doesn't negatively affect me. Just THC.
I was going to wait for Elaine to get going.
Put his hands down. That man was there for
By the way, stay tuned tomorrow as I'm going to be putting up a video exposing the brick situation, the pallets of bricks that are left for rioters to throw. Agent provocateurs.
At the Black Resilience Fund, they could really
here we
use
go again with the black. I'm not telling anyone to donate to anything other than possibly independent media like World Alternative Media. Check those links below and join our newsletter at iamband.com, as well as you could pledge
every time I go away.
Patreon, GoFundMe, Floyd. You can pledge in crypto. You can pledge, or you can donate in crypto on our COINTREE account, linked below as well. Lots of ways to help keep independent media alive. It's never been more important.
What do you fucking maniacs want? Does this work? Huh? Are you good? Yeah, good. You're upside down. What the fuck? Okay, well, I'm just doing this now, so you people can deal with it, all right? You can deal with the fucking view. This is how it's going to be.
This guy getting mad about?
feel like I'm out the streets. It's a pretty good night, man.
Stay together.
Did you catch that woman in the van who got gassed? It's like, I got a whole video of her like over there getting gassed in traffic. She's like, yes. She was crying and like getting medics watching her. It's fucking nuts, man. They're just fucking grenading cars.
I don't want to be feared anymore.
Really? There's visual cop spray paint license plates.
I want to be walking down the sidewalk.
Police spray painting license plates? The fuck are they doing? Marking cars?
Good one. We're all good ones. I'm a good one. We're human.
All right, they're shooting, so it's time to go be back
and it's more than
get shot at. So let's go get shot at now.
You gotta remember, man.
So that's gonna be neat.
All I'm saying
is get the crowd together and tight, rally, as we prepare for the police to
I wonder how many cops are watching this.
It's fire wildly into groups of people.
Yeah, I know there's people who were watching yesterday where the cops were saying, "Oh, well, hey, are you these people from this stream that we've been watching?" And we're targeting some of the people that were watching.
Yeah, that was in Sacramento, the Sacramento Bee.
138-10-4.
Oh, they're getting shot at.
Room 130.
Oh, yeah.
Have the dog that was on the leash. We're trying to get further. The complaint's been kind of difficult.
I think we may be about to
re-enter somewhere else. I'm going to try to find it.
Oh, cool. Well, let's go look at
we're looking at our own stream. Hey, what's going on here?
Looks like first was out with it on the first. Reference is suspicious. 318 West 31st.
They whine when it's horizontal. They whine when it's vertical. They just keep whining.
317
so,
or 10-6.
I'm not sure where the police are. Where the cop riot is going to start next. But I know it is.
But I keep going day by day, day by day. I don't have nothing on the schedule.
Yeah, people should give them hell about the plates.
No justice, no fucking.
Because I think they're just saying that like people who happen to be fucking
I'll tell you,
in traffic in cars when the police shoot them deserve to be marked or some shit. It's pretty nuts.
God's Dimensions, like, time to go back and get shot at. Yeah, this guy.
So everyone kind of getting ready for the police to advance. And go, oh, fun! We've got some Homeland Security police. Now, last night when somebody chucked a plastic bottle near
Rupert Watson says, dude, please sort your volumes. We can hear like all of them and cannot understand any of them.
But I don't know that they are.
I know what you mean. I don't think he's talking to us. He's talking to like the whole feed situation. I can't do anything about that.
Yeah. I mean, unless you want us to go to each one of these individual...
Oh, and we got a guy. Is that a journalist embedded with the cops? Journalists don't hang out with the cops, man. That's not where the story is. I don't know. I'm frustrated seeing that.
Well, to be fair, if a journalist went into the police station with the cops during this, you could probably get some interesting inside information.
Hey, Unicorn Riot's on. How you guys doing? So, he's just a guy with
Unicorn Riot's on. Let's see what's happening there.
So here we are in the streets of Portland, where the police rioted just recently, wildly launching grenades into a crowd of cars and people. Shooting impact munitions to protect the
Unicorn Riot is not live. I don't know what he's talking about.
By protesters, but a whole hell of a lot of violence against human beings by police officers tonight in the streets of Portland, Oregon. Huh? Yeah, I haven't seen any violence against property either. Nope, just a whole lot of cops tear gassing, a whole lot of
complaining
motorists.
About the
and again,
audio. I mean, we're just using Zoom right now, so I mean, I don't really know. Believe it or not, they might be trying to jack with different feeds of things that are going on for people covering this type of stuff. I mean, you can't even search it out.
Yeah, they're literally, you can't find most of these feeds. You can't find very almost any feeds, even though everyone's live streaming at the same time. They're jamming signals. ZP Zap says no super chat ability. No, YouTube removed our super chat ability. They demonetized us, and now we can't get super chats voluntarily anymore. So the best thing that people can do, and I know it's more difficult, you can go to ziggy33@mail.com. I'll write it in the chat, not Gmail, at mail.com, and send through PayPal. And you can let's see, yeah, at mail.com, not Gmail. And you can send through GoFundMe, Patreon, and Subscribestar, all linked below. We got a video tomorrow, an expose on police setting up the scene for riots. We're watching a movie being filmed here. So make sure to check that out tomorrow when we're on. I feel like things are about to keep heating up in Portland, Oregon. We won't be on too much longer, but we're going to do our best here. Geosis says live New York feed. What's going on in New York?
I mean, can you send us the feed? I mean,
which feed? Can you send us a link? I'm looking, and it's really hard to find anything right now because they're basically shutting down our ability to find any streams. It's really frustrating. All you can find is like mainstream media streams.
Portland rising up against their police who just earlier tonight fired grenades wildly into traffic and spray painted cars during what can only be called a cop riot. And now, again, this is hours after way more than 10,000 people.
Military police in New York.
Protest police brutality, and after getting repeatedly gassed and grenaded
aren't they,
and shot at
NYPD by themselves, like the 7th largest basically military in the world? You know, if they were a military,
yeah, I think 6
like that.
Yeah, I know, it's insane.
Again, 82% of the Portland Police Bureau live outside of the city of Portland. So,
thing about Mexico is all I have to do. Can you get that thing on the screen there? The thing about Mexico is that I look at my foot and I just have a bug crawling on it because doors are like 3 inches from the ground here, so everything gets in the house.
We saw people
just like I look down, some weird ass bugs on my foot.
And
Ben Palmer's talking about kite
protest
surfing
medics,
and,
street medics.
I would love to kite surf
So again,
sometime.
by the way, street medics, a whole lot of anarchists within the street medic community. So again, if you're wondering what anarchists are doing during these cop riots, they're washing people's eyes out and helping them deal with poison gas.
Communists.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to ask some people.
Yeah, really.
Huh? Yeah. Hi, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. My name's Robert. I'm a journalist, and I'm live streaming this. I wonder if I could ask you a couple questions. I don't need to put your face on. I'm just interested in why you're out here tonight. And how long have you been out here? 30 minutes. How did you hear about this? Oh, okay. And you decided now was the time to come out? Oh, cool. Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. Great, thank you.
Great interview.
Yeah.
What brought you out here? Oh, I've been out for the last few days. Oh, cool. Thank you. Bye. It's like, you want to add something?
So she told me she just got here about a half hour ago, but she's been coming out the last 2 nights. So I think you do have a lot of people who are just kind of, coming in late. Oh, this is another medic car. So it's a car with water, food, and first aid for people who are protesting. Thank you so much. Yeah, fuck it. I'll get more water. I'm going to get gassed again.
I sent you another multi-stream.
I'm going to try to get a mic situation set up, guys. I just have a phone right now, so sorry.
I'm a journalist, and I came there with just my phone.
I don't like airing a whole lot of shit when I do this, but I will try to get a better mic setup, okay? I promise that.
Because people have been just standing there in Seattle for hours.
I have a lot of stuff on me because I like to be able to run through crowds while getting shot at.
Way more of them than there are of the police, I should add. Just saying.
Hey, folks. My name's Robert. I'm a journalist covering the events. I'm wondering, I don't need to get anyone's face, but I'm wondering what's bringing y'all out here and what do you want? Yeah, please.
That's terrible.
He is now cone guy.
did you see there was a video of a guy who was like shaking like a street light thing, and then the street light came down and hit him in the head?
Yes. Shaking it back and forth and then boink and hits the ground. Oh man. It's like slapstick. Blue 1986 says, World Alternative Media, do you have a Telegram channel? Not a channel, but I'm on Telegram.
You should get a channel.
Telegram?
So yeah.
This is a feed on Twitch showing multiple places, including Seattle and San Diego.
You know, it's not the audio yet, so let me make sure that's
Portland as well.
Let me get back there. Oh, it is the audio. My bad.
Things have gotten really crazy in Portland tonight.
Out here with our feet and voting with our feet and walking through these streets. We should be standing up for any injustices, for all
What's
injustices.
going on in
and we should be watching out for the underdogs. You understand me?
Providence. What was the other place?
I love animals.
Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin.
And now let's go live to Whitefish Bay, Wisconsin.
The first warning shot of the revolution. Yeah, the boog is happening in Whitefish Bay. Forever and after, we will remember Whitefish Bay.
For the people that no one's standing for.
Are you ready to head out?
The unity that we sown for all our queer brothers and sisters, all the pride that we sown, we need to show that for everyone. Everyone that is oppressed, everyone that's down, we need to show that. And that's why we are here in unity.
Syndicat says, I saw a video of a guy throwing tear gas back at the cops, but it bounced off a light pole and hit him.
You can keep calling black people. But it sucks that we do have that word black and white. It does, because you understand that black already had all these negative connotations before we were called it. What do you got? You got, what is it? What are some bad things that are black that we know? Black plague. What's another one? Black holes. They just rip your body apart.
They're actually black.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually are black. I mean, I'm sorry, but
Black cube of Saturn.
Black Widow. Black what?
Black Widow is also black.
Black magic. Yeah, because what is it? Because white magic is the good magic. But black magic is the bad magic.
It's meant to be dark. You get it? Like things hide in the shadows.
Yeah, let's walk this way, y'all. Let's walk onto this residential area right here. Let's keep walking forward, y'all.
He's looking for ways to. Don't search for ways, guys. Oh, there's a police car burning there in San Diego, it says. No, that's New York City right now. I think. Oh, this is a mix from earlier. Yeah.
It's not somewhere on this side.
Where we're at right now.
Get back! Get the fuck back! Get back! Get back! Get back!
All right, that's a loop from earlier. You want to go into the other multi-stream and mute this one?
Yeah, I can't find my mouse. Where's it? What do I have there?
Fire gas wildly into crowds of people and motorists.
Really confused by the center image from Seattle. It's been up forever and nothing's happened. It's just guys walking around an SUV.
I don't know.
Black
There looks
SUV.
like there's like 3,000 people there right now. It might be more.
What does it tell you about the cops? They're all wearing black.
Police munitions already dispersed the crowd 3 or 4 times, maybe more like 5.
Carlos Gomez says black dildos.
The whole Pioneer Square. You got some NLG, National Lawyers Guild folks here. Yeah, great regrouping tonight. Great use of Hong Kong tactics to put out tear gas. Been really impressive tonight. I'm very proud of how the Portland community has turned out. few more interviews once I get a better mic. Wow. And you can
his
hear
interviews suck. You can't even hear anything.
Portland, Oregon. A lot of whom have been tear gassed by the police of Portland over the last few days.
Part of me thinks that every city in the United States right now is trying to be the big city that is the loudest.
Yeah.
You know, like in a lot of ways, it's like they see it in other cities and they're like, oh, we're going to destroy more stuff than them.
It's like the NFL like decibel meter, like where they go and see who has like the loudest fans cheering.
Yeah, right. So this is what happens when you don't have bread and circuses for a while. Jeez.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, look, we go, like 2 months without baseball and the NBA, and this is what's going on.
I didn't know the bread and circuses kept us together so well and distracted from the enemies of mankind. But hey, actually, that is a good argument for the fact that they do work to keep people at bay and stop them from actually, I don't know, fighting back at all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you also take away 40 million jobs too. Then
40 million jobs conservatively.
Just sprinkle that in. I mean, we really need to interview John Williams of Shadow Stats. I keep saying that. I talked with him like right before all this stuff kicked off, and then
I've talked with him a couple times. Never interviewed him. We were gonna interview him a couple of years ago at Wham, and it just never turned out. Well, I'm looking forward to getting a bunch of people on right away. I'm gonna go through another boost of interviews right away. ZP Zap says, check out Milwaukee, Josh. All right, let me check out Milwaukee.
Yeah. I mean, give us some links, man. Like, or channel
helping
names.
out with links. They might hide it in the search, but I'll be able to see them. If you send it in the chat, it might hide your comment from most people, but I'll still be able to see what's going on. I'm looking in Milwaukee right now. Couldn't find a single stream in all of New York City. Get that. That's not mainstream media, that is.
Yeah.
I found a few helicopter shots of New York, but it just showed a couple of military police.
What about Justin? Was he filming New York City?
He was earlier, but he's home now. He says he's sleeping.
What a weakling. Sleep. Speaking of which, I need to get to sleep. So
yeah, just hold up. We might as well put that sound on a little bit there.
Okay. Black coffee, black licorice, black tie, black event, black Ford Model Ts.
Black tie, isn't that like a fancy good thing? There we go.
Yeah.
In Minneapolis, death of George Floyd. And this Tuesday, is the first time that there have been protests against police violence
like
in
black
all
label stuff. That's like the good stuff
in the United States. We're hearing today about a protest
every single U.S. state.
In Pendleton, Oregon, a small rural community. People took to the streets in Redding, California, one of the more conservative cities in California, and not a protesty town. In Seaside, Oregon, a small, sleepy vacation town. People protesting. Thank you so much. Thank you. So people are really turning out all over the damn country, even in like conservative.
Okay, I found a Milwaukee feed.
Turning out to protest for their right to not live in a damn police state. For their right to not be tear gassed at random by police who fire grenades.
Well, then don't give up your guns.
Shocking.
I just sent you, or it's currently sending.
We will see what happens. I know some pop mob people. I'm sure some are involved. I haven't seen them here yet, but there's a lot of activists in pop mob that are going to show up anytime something's happening. The Youth Liberation Front's been doing.
I just want to let everybody know on your live stream and whatnot that the Nike security guards out there, specifically the one in the red, he's probably like 200, 300 pounds. He saw this woman spray painting on their plywood. She was not doing anything violent, and he came up and fucking tackled her into the bushes.
He's either 200 or 300 pounds. That is quite the range.
Planters, and he just tackled her, and everybody had to try to get him off of her. And a bunch of the security guards started pushing everybody and trying to like shove everybody and punch everybody, and they provoked a huge fight. They're just being completely assholes. They honestly remind me of the Cowboys a lot, but it's super fucked up that they did that.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's super nice.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, one woman's report on the Nike. I thought the Nike guys were cool. They've been chill to me, but I am a white dude. Sorry. Bismarck, North Dakota.
So we're gonna go to Milwaukee right away and see what's going on there.
Second.
Thanks for the tip. Oh, he's in a car now? Or is he walking? Bad day for a protest in Milwaukee. It's pouring out.
It has some decency and tilt your phone the other way.
Turn it off, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. Oh my God. They have to blast copyrighted music.
Amateurs. And nothing too much going on there anyways.
Yeah, there was a moment ago when I was looking at it when I sent it, but then he got into a car and just left. It wasn't even raining when I sent it to you. That happened pretty fast. Yeah, anyway, things are going to continue to pick up over the night. I urge people to check out Twitch. I don't go on Twitch almost ever.
No.
Twitch.tv/woke, WOKE, for the split segment without the narration. We're gonna get going right away, but I appreciate everyone watching tonight. Hit that like button, share on social media, and stay tuned for my video tomorrow breaking down and exposing the police, setting up rioting equipment, I guess you could say, and being involved in basically filming a movie. They are trying to create order out of chaos. Bigger police budgets, bigger surveillance state, and even more so, you divide people against each other based on race rather than the issue of government, which was the initial reason why people were protesting and why the first shots were fired. And you end up with people clashing, and you end up with people distracted and misdirected, and then you end up with another crisis on your hands. And then they're going to come in with another second wave nonsense story regarding Rona. It's really frustrating to watch people fall for it over and over again. But nonetheless, we are going to try and keep you up to date on everything as much as we can. I really appreciate everyone tuning in. Check those links below. Join our new newsletter. Please go there and go to iamband.com, link below in the description. And it helps us out a lot. So if you can join that newsletter, we can keep track of being able to send you, being able to make sure that we're actually seen by you, because YouTube notifies maybe 2% of people who click to be notified and shows about 3% of our subscribers our videos. Really frustrating. We are dealing with massive censorship, and we were also completely demonetized by YouTube for daring to say something that was against the World Health Organization. So completely demonetized as well. You can't even send super chats. So if you want, you can send to PayPal at ziggy33@mail.com. It's not mine, but I can get it. That's mail.com, not Gmail. It's sent it in the chat. And also, just check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar. Just $1 or more a month can help keep independent media alive and allow us to cut through all this propaganda that's being fed to us in a time that has never been more important to stand up for truth and information and freedom. We are living in a very strange time, and I know a lot of you are really freaked out by it, and I think we will prevail long term, but in the short term, it's probably going to get worse before it gets better. So we have to prepare for that, and don't believe anything we see as well. Be skeptical of everything, because things are not as they seem right now. Anyway,
unless it comes from the government, then believe it. So.
Yeah, right. Well, any final words, Tim? That's a daunting statement to ask you, or question to ask you. Any final
words? At this rate, probably be back tomorrow night too. I got my kids this weekend, so I guess make the most of doing this while we still can. But no, thank you everybody. If you want, I've been putting out daily videos starting in June, so last 2 days. But so, anyways, if you guys want to check those out, also the podcast, I appreciate it. So I just sent some messages. You guys can click on the profile photo, and then in the cover photo, there's links for Flow in the podcast feeds and everywhere else. And yeah, I'll mainly be focused on economics. So if you guys want to hear some financial economic stuff, check it out. And thank you.
Well, I appreciate everyone joining us today. We'll be back with you with much more. So hit that like button if you haven't already. Share this on social media for those that want to see some up-to-date information. We'll probably be back tomorrow, so tune in. You probably won't be notified, so tune in to find us. And we appreciate it, folks. And check back in. Watch my most recent video I just posted right before this, earlier today. And check out my video tomorrow. And join me on float.app and BitChute, World Alternative Media. I appreciate it. Namaste. Anyway, until next time, this is Josh Searson and Tim Picciott signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.